Combs abused, threatened, and coerced victims to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct.
Federal investigators searched his home 6 months ago, taking phones and weapons. Analyst Jessica Levinson.
This type of months-long delay is not unheard of. So you execute a search warrant, and then you spend a lot of time going through all the evidence to determine if there's enough there to bring charges.
Celebrity lawyer Chris Melcher says setting bail is the next step.
But I would imagine that he would be released on some electronic monitoring and other basic conditions.
His attorney says Combs is innocent. CBS News Special Report. I'm Cammie McCormick.
And Combs is expected in court this afternoon around 2:30. Right now in Atlanta, we have 76 degrees and cloudy skies, increasing clouds today with a high of 82. You could get a shower or two, mainly north of the city, though, says WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. She'll have Atlanta Radio's only 5-day forecast. That'll come your way at 12:05. The suspect surrenders without incident after a SWAT team situation this morning in Cobb County.
The SWAT team responded to the Belmont Crossing apartments after reports of shots fired at several people. The shooter barricaded himself in one apartment, but drones showed he moved back and forth to the apartment next door through the attic. Eric Wilson eventually surrendered to Cobb police.
He is currently facing multiple charges to include aggravated assault for shooting at multiple people.
Police spokesman Aaron Wilson says the building the SWAT team surrounded was mostly unoccupied. Lisa Nicholas, 95.5 WSB.
We have an update now on the second assassination attempt of former President Trump. Florida's governor saying he's appointing a statewide prosecutor to the case.
Florida's governor says federal prosecutors should stand aside.
Don't you want a clean slate?
Ron DeSantis argues the Justice Department has a conflict of interest because it's now prosecuting Trump. He says Ryan Routh should face attempted murder charges in state court.
It's better for the public and it's better for justice.
DeSantis also says he's played at Trump's West Palm Beach club and is known of its security vulnerabilities.
I was like, I know exactly where on that golf course that would have been.
Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
All right, you may notice a lot of military personnel or vehicles around Alpharetta and Milton this week. Not to worry, it's just a military training that's underway. Alpharetta sent out a notice to residents there so they would be aware. So you may notice military vehicles, personnel in the area over the next few days or so, especially around where Alpharetta and Milton are bordering each other. This is a scheduled training exercise and is not in response to any current events. They just wanted to let the public know what was going on. Teen accounts are coming to Instagram. Parent company Meta Platforms is rolling out the new option with built-in protections. Parents can limit who can contact their teenage children and also set up a timer on their screen. The feature is for both new and existing accounts. Current teenage users will be notified that their profiles will be migrated over to that teen tier. A new study indicates that wages are not keeping up with inflation. Bankrate's new wage to inflation index looks at how much prices have risen since the beginning of the post-pandemic inflation surge and how much wages have grown over that same period.
A lot of talk has been about how wages are rising at a faster pace than inflation for the past 16 months. But according to our calculations, it really isn't enough to offset just how much prices have risen since the end of the pandemic.
And that is Bankrate analyst Sarah Foster. She says that at their current pace, it's going to take a lot longer to close the gap between prices and pay. And finally, here at noon, a former president being celebrated tonight.
Well, it's no shack. There will be a whole lot of love in the Fox Theater tonight as musicians, actors, and other artists gather to celebrate former President Jimmy Carter's 100th birthday. Along with the B-52s, other acts like Layla Hathaway to Drive-By Truckers to the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra Chamber Chorus will perform at tonight's benefit that's going to support the Carter Center. Carter turns 100 2 weeks from today on October 1st. Michelle Wright, 95.5 WSB.
As we take a look at the markets, the NASDAQ, S&P, and Dow all in the green. Time now for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Veronica Harrell's in the WSB 24-hour traffic center.
And right now, Sabrina, talking about some delays as you travel over on the downtown ride, 75, 85 north and southbound volume, both directions between I-20 and the Midtown area, 17th Street. Elsewhere, do watch out for some tire debris over on 75 southbound around Delk Road. Exit 261, it is over in that second right lane, could cause a few brake lights for you. Georgia 400 north and southbound moving just fine, and also no issues on 85 north and south between Norcross and Duluth. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
It's time now for Atlanta Radio's only 5-day forecast, sponsored by Shoemate, the official air conditioning of summer. Here's WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards.
Increasing cloud cover today, becoming mostly cloudy. A few light rain showers possible in the Dawson, Forsyth, Hall, and Gwinnett County areas. Otherwise dry for the rest of the metro. Today's high is 82. Lows tonight in the mid-60s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, high 85. Thursday, mostly sunny, feeling like summertime. Morning low 65, afternoon high 88. Friday, mostly sunny, high 87. Saturday, sunshine, high 86. Sunshine for the first day of fall on Sunday with a high of 85.
And WSB Storm Tracker radar picking up a little bit of rain right now in Gwinnett County. We'll have more news at 12:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
All right, friends, the 5K a day bonus blitz keyword is stacks. 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 Enter the keyword stacks into the WSB Radio app or go to WSBradio.com/cash. You have until 12:30 for your chance to win $1,000. Again, the bonus blitz keyword is stacks. 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 Good luck.
Greetings, conversationalists. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. Across the United States of America, the phone number 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, very, very happy to have you. Text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777. Get the show notes, the live stream, the podcast, everything your heart desires in terms of the show. Now, we got to actually start with foreign breaking news. Israel has discovered an amazing technique to sterilize terrorists. I did not see Israeli remote vasectomies as the story I would start with today, but Israel has just sterilized between 1,200 and 1,500 terrorists. Sadly, some of the Hezbollah terrorists died during the vasectomy procedures that Israel was doing, exploding testicles across Lebanon today. Israel, somehow, this is actually Tom Clancy level stuff. The Israeli Secret Service, the Mossad, Shin Bet, one of them, discovered how to trigger the pagers of Hezbollah terrorists to explode. And across Lebanon today, in the last 2 hours, pagers have been exploding. They even got the Iranian ambassador to Lebanon. Now, why is this important? So, children, back when your parents were young, there was something called a pager. They didn't have cell phones. And some parents would buy their children pagers, and you could dial a phone number, and this little bitty device would go beep, 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 and you could look and see, it's a particular phone number that I know calling. In some cases, you could even generate small text messages, call mom, or for doctors, come to the hospital. But more particularly, drug dealers. Drug dealers loved the pagers. And you could page your drug dealer, and they would come give you drugs. Into the 90s and then into the 2000s, cell phones took off. And doctors slowly gave up the pagers, as did moms and dads, the drug dealers and the terrorists. They've kept the pagers. Now, for those of you who don't know, the pager is a little device. And you tend to clip it to your belt or put it in your pocket, your front pocket. Your front pocket. Right there with your keys. And next to, well, if you're a guy, that. And today, Israel experimented in revolutionary new vasectomy technology. The pagers of Hezbollah terrorists went boom. So here's what happens. You get the list of numbers for the pagers of the terrorists. Now, how do you get the list of numbers for the pagers? This isn't hard. Do you really think that these 1,200 individuals are paying their pager bill? No. Hezbollah is paying the bill for all the pagers. You join Hezbollah and you get a pager. and you put it in your pocket. And so Israel somehow got the list of all the phone numbers tied to all the pagers of all the terrorists in Lebanon, an entire country. And somehow they were able to figure out, and it's not that hard, these pagers use batteries. The batteries can be overheated. Those overheated batteries cause explosions. They blow up. And well, Israel was able to send a signal to each of the pagers to overheat the batteries, to cause the batteries to go boom. And so the batteries and the testicles of the terrorists went boom. And many of the terrorists bled out from the explosions. So it wasn't just that they got vasectomied, they got died. They're dead. They went boom, straight to Allah. This is remarkable technology. This is impressive. This is impressive stuff. I gotta say, kudos to Israel for being able to pull this off. In all seriousness, this is Tom Clancy stuff. So there was an author. He is deceased. His name, Tom Clancy. And Tom Clancy wrote some brilliant books. Now, you need to know that there are still books being produced in Tom Clancy's name. Tom Clancy's dead, franchised out his name, and towards the end of his life, he was continuing to turn out books with a co-writer. But when he was in his prime, Tom Clancy wrote a series of books about the CIA. Jack Ryan was the lead spy. They started with Hunt for Red October, which was turned into a famous movie with Sean Connery and Alec Baldwin, a great movie in its own right, a fabulous book. Then there was Cardinal in the Kremlin, which is a book that should have been turned into a movie, but with the fall of the Soviet Union, they'd have to rebrand it somehow. There was Patriot Games. Patriot Games was one of my favorites. So Alec Baldwin left, and Harrison Ford came in as Jack Ryan. And they continued to make these books. So you had Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger. Fantastic books about Cold War spying. Hunt for Red October. If you want a great book to read, Hunt for Red October, to this day, stands out even with the fall of the Soviet Union, a brilliant book to read. Patriot Games as well. Cardinal in the Kremlin, actually, a brilliant book. But he would talk about the gadgetry and the wizardry of what the spooks could do, the CIA could do, what the Kremlin could do. In fact, if you go to Washington, D.C., there's an International Spy Museum, and you could go to the Spy Museum and you can see this very James Bond sort of stuff that they do. Now, it's never as cool as what James Bond had, but it was still amazing technology. But I'm reminded of something that Tom Clancy, in one of his books, wrote. I cannot remember which book he wrote. But it was basically sometimes the most basic stuff is the coolest cloak and dagger stuff. Not his exact words, but sometimes you can do more with the basic stuff than with the fancy stuff. And the pagers are very basic technology. Now, back in the day, pagers used AAA or AA batteries. These days, most pagers use lithium batteries that are rechargeable. You put it on like a little pad, like I put my iPhone on, and you charge it without thinking about it. You pick it back up. You never have to swap out the batteries. Lithium batteries are fantastic. They hold a lot of energy. That's why so many of our devices, my laptop in front of me, my iPad in front of me, my iPhone, my Apple Watch in front of me, they all use lithium batteries. But lithium batteries are actually to some degree unstable. It's why, for example, when you're on a plane, you're not allowed to put lithium batteries in the luggage compartment, because if they ever do catch fire, they want to be able to respond quickly to them, as opposed to they're in the luggage hold catching everything on fire and the plane burns up. Lithium batteries have some instability. And one of the things that you can do with a lithium battery is you can overheat it. If you drop it, if it's damaged, you can cause it to start a chain reaction that overheats it. But more importantly, you can trigger certain connections to cell phones, to laptops, to iPads, to pagers that begin the chain reaction of overheating the battery. And once the battery begins to overheat, it reaches a tipping point through which there's no turning back, and eventually it catches fire and it explodes. So let's think about this. Israel had to have sources that could give it the phone numbers of all the Hezbollah pagers, because people with pagers in Lebanon who were not with Hezbollah, their pagers did not go boom. It was just the people who were the terrorists for Hezbollah, who had ties to Hezbollah. What we can be certain is that the Iranian ambassador to Lebanon clearly had ties to and was communicating with Hezbollah. Now, this is something we always knew, but today we now know the Iranian ambassador to Lebanon is a victim of the Israeli vasectomy technology. This is really wild stuff. They have incapacitated over 1,200 people spontaneously, and the videos are wild. There's one video of security camera footage at a grocery store in Lebanon where a man is shopping for groceries. He's standing next to someone, and all of a sudden there's an explosion, and the one man with the pager falls over next to the other man. The other man jumps out of the way, startled. Someone else is there. You've got CCTV, closed circuit television footage of somebody driving a scooter down the road in Beirut, and suddenly, boom, he falls over, dead on the scooter. This is happening all over the country. It's not just in Beirut. North to south in Lebanon, the pagers have been exploding. I left my phone on the other side of the room just to be on the safe side. You never know. Want to make sure you're not on some list. Wife wants you to have a vasectomy. She's called the Mossad. This is incredible stuff. Now, here's the thing. Where does all of this play out? This plays out in that a lot of these 1,200 terrorists for Hezbollah have been trying to cross into Israel and have also been plotting mass weapons shipments around into Egypt through tunnels into Hamas territory. So Hezbollah is in the north of Israel. Hamas is in the south of Israel. Hezbollah and Hamas are both funded by Iran. Hamas in the south is fighting Israel because of the October 7th situation. Hezbollah has responded with Iranian funds to launch air war, missiles and drones into northern Israel. And many people from northern Israel have had to move south in Israel, and they can't go home to their northern Israeli territories. And meanwhile, what Hezbollah is doing is it's also, it's coastal, just like Israel, gets ships, sails down to Egypt, gives armaments to Hamas, and Hamas runs them up from the south into Israel in a perpetual arms cycle. Many of these terrorists are involved in this. Well, I should say, because they're all dead today. Not all of them died. Some of them are just critically wounded. Hospitals in Lebanon are overwhelmed today. I am very impressed that Israel was able to pull this off. Steve has already emailed me. Steve cannot believe that I am willing to believe that Israel was able to pull this off. Steve does not believe, apparently, that Israel is capable of doing this. I am very convinced Israel is capable of doing this because the Israeli Mossad and Shin Bet do some amazing things. And Israel knew exactly what it was doing and knew how to target these people. And Israel, you should note, was not saying they were responsible. It was very obvious when it came out that the only pagers in Lebanon that were exploding were the ones tied to Hezbollah terrorists. And Israel like, don't look at us. No idea what you're talking about, as they giggled. Kudos to Israel for being able to incapacitate these terrorists. Now, let's extrapolate this. The United States, well, we have a war against us right now. I'm not talking about China. I'm talking about the drug cartels from Mexico. Why can't we accidentally do something similar? This technology, Israel just proved it can be done, and it works. It's something that every other government should be looking at, and we should be considering this when we're dealing with these terrorists that have invaded this country from Venezuela, from Mexico, and elsewhere. This is a very easy way to figure out who these people are and, well, incapacitate them. And, you know, the iPhone and the Android device, they're larger than the pagers and have much bigger batteries than the pagers. Those pagers went boom. What would the phones do? Maybe government should start analyzing how can we track these people and disable a large group of a terrorist network that is funneling drugs into the United States. But I digress from Israel.
Want to be on the show?
Hello? I love your show.
Call Eric now at 877-973-7425.
1220 in the Coolray Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center right now. A few brake lights downtown connector 7585, and traffic trooper Andy says you need to watch out for traffic lights that are completely out over on North Marietta Parkway at Cherokee Street. Please treat that intersection as a four-way stop and do expect some delays there. This report is brought to you by WeBuyAnyCar.com. Avoid the hassle of selling privately or dealing with a dealer. We Buy Any Car is the fast and fair way to sell. Get your car's valuation now at WeBuyAnyCar.com. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
All right, friends, the 5K a day bonus blitz keyword is stacks. 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 Enter the keyword stacks into the WSB Radio app or go to WSBRadio.com/cash. You have until 12:30 for your chance to win $1,000. Again, the bonus blitz keyword is stacks. 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 Good luck.
At City of Hope, we are driven to stop lung cancer, to respond to its every change, its every mutation with a new treatment approach, to meet the most complex cases with the latest innovations, to analyze cancer down to its DNA, then fight it with the newest surgical, radiation, and immunotherapies, to never give up, so you can be driven by hope. Learn more at cityofhope.org.
It's Eric. Are you thinking of adding value to your house, or just you want more convenience and more comfort in your kitchen? Frugal Kitchens can get you one of those $1 million home kitchens at a fraction of the cost. They want to talk to you about how you can go through their process, get your new dream kitchen up and going, and you can be cooking in 5 days from the start of construction and get 18 months, no interest financing available. It's what Christy and I have done. Life happens in your kitchen, and Frugal Kitchens can put you in a great one. FrugalKitchens.com.
I'm thrilled with my Infinity from Marvin Fiberglass Windows. Hi, it's meteorologist Glenn Burns inviting you to North Georgia Replacement Windows' brand new Alpharetta showroom. I was blown away. Bring your window and door project to life here. See the fiberglass difference in person. Your stress-free experience includes a quick, accurate proposal, no pressure. Window and door shopping made simple.
Infinity from Marvin Replacement Windows, yeah!
If you have a leaning brick porch, an uneven concrete driveway, a pool deck covered in cracks, or an uneven sidewalk that you could trip over, you should get AquaGuard to come out and help you. Home Fixer Show host Dave Baker here. AquaGuard's concrete lifting solution is here to save the day, keeping your family and neighbors safe from tripping hazards and your home looking great. Schedule a free visit with AquaGuard's team of experts by going to aquaguard.net today. Just remember, AquaGuard.
You love free, and at Ameris Bank, so do we. That's why we're proud to offer worry-free, hassle-free Ameris Bank free checking. Manage your money your way with convenient access to digital, mobile, and telephone banking, all with no monthly service fee or minimum balance requirements. At Ameris Bank, we're with you. For more information or to open an account, visit our local bankers in person or online at amerisbank.com/free checking. Other fees such as overdraft fees may apply. Ameris Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Your home could sell for more with a few upgrades, but you need money to buy your dream home. Orchard gives you both. Buy your new home before you sell and leave the upgrades to Orchard. Get your free home valuation at Orchard.com.
365 days of the year, just call us up. We'll be right there. Service guaranteed. When it's too hot to wait, call 678-SHOEMAKE.
Men, if you're suffering from ED or PE, Priority Men's Medical Center will get your love life back in just one visit. Their painless, breakthrough medical treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Priority Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Priority Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments will restore your love life regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. Plus, you'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients will have their testosterone checked free. Call 404-885-8885. 404-885-8885. To regain your love life in just one visit, call now. 404-885-8885.
All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB. Want to be on the show? Come on, be on the show. Call Eric now at 877-973-7425.
Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. Real quick, the story continues to evolve pretty quickly. So here are more details now. And I actually, during commercial break, was able to exchange some information with a guy who actually I know to be an expert on this. So we're now up to 2,750 wounded individuals. The number I told you was 1,200. 8 people are killed. So here's what we know from Lebanon. According to the Wall Street Journal now, a Hezbollah official says that the affected pagers were from a new shipment received in recent days. Hundreds of fighters had such devices, and they believe it was malware on the devices. Now, the guy that I'm texting with says there are a couple of things. One, if they are from new devices, they could have been tampered with and a small explosive embedded, but more likely what happens is you can generate a chain reaction in a lithium battery, even a small one, that will generate essentially a steam explosion. As the battery begins to heat, the internal components begin to melt, steam is generated, it's in a contained environment, and it then explodes with a lot of force, which is why 2,750 people wounded, but only 8 dead. The explosion would not be enough to kill most people, except depending on where they had the pager on their body. That could have caused a problem. So it could be a malware deployment, which is what Hezbollah is speculating. It could be a signal deployment where Israel is somehow able to generate a signal to those batteries that force them to overheat. Or it could actually be a small explosive device on the pager. That being said, most likely, given the number of people affected, the fact that they didn't catch that there was any sort of device implanted in the pagers, and the fact only 8 people died, the odds are most likely that Israel, if what Hezbollah says is to be confirmed, Israel tampered with the batteries to cause the batteries to malfunction. That it all happened at 3:30 p.m. Beirut time suggests a signal being generated to the phones that triggered malware, according to the news reports now, and also the person I spoke to. So a lot of people are thinking big explosions. So clearly there had to be bombs in the pagers, but that doesn't appear to be the case. It appears to be the case that they did cause the lithium-ion batteries to generate a chain reaction that caused a steam explosion, injuring 2,750 people, killing 8 people. We're still finding out more, though, rapidly developing story, but the numbers of wounded continue to go up. Hospitals in Lebanon are overwhelmed. Good for Israel. Now, let's keep talking about technology. Let me tell you about Vision Computers. They're going to build you a computer. They're going to save you money. They're going to build you something that lasts a whole lot longer than what you get at the one-size-fits-all big box store. And then they're going to be your tech support. So if you have any questions about your computer, how to use it, you got a problem, you need help with email or printer, you're going to get a phone number. You call them, 15 seconds or less, they give you the answer. But now let's say you have Vision Computer, or you want Vision Computers help, and you didn't buy your computer from them. Well, with Vision Computers, what they can do is for $179 a year per computer, they can also give you that phone number you call, and they'll be your tech support solution, even though you didn't buy your computer from them. And just like all these other people who bought their computers from Vision, 15 seconds or less, you get the answer. So you don't have to have the in-house IT guy. Vision can take care of it for you. All you do is go to visioncomputers.com or call them at 404-COMPUTE. Call Vision at 404-COMPUTE, and Vision Computers can take over your tech support for you. 404-COMPUTE or visioncomputers.com nationwide.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
Traffic. 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 12:30. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news sponsored by Jim Ellis Automotive. We do have breaking news. An award-winning rapper indicted on sex crimes and racketeering.
CBS News special report. Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs has been indicted.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
Damian Williams, U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, a short time ago.
Combs used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sexual performances with male commercial sex workers, some of whom he transported or caused to be transported over state lines. Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them.
Federal agents searched the houses of Combs in Miami and Los Angeles months ago and found weapons and other evidence. Combs was arrested in New York last night. CBS News special report. I'm Cammie McCormick.
Increasing clouds today with a high of 82. A few showers are possible, mainly north of the city. An hours-long standoff at the Belmont Crossing Apartments on Atlanta Road ends peacefully. Police were responding to a shots-fired call when the suspect, identified as Eric Wilson, barricaded himself inside the apartment. Police were able to arrest him. He's now facing multiple charges, including aggravated assault for shooting at 2 people. Nobody was hurt. And a new study today warns that 39 million people could die worldwide by 2050 due to ineffective antibiotics. Global deaths from drug-resistant superbugs could jump 70% over the next quarter century without major advancements in antibiotics. It's 12:32.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on this station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to firstlibertyga.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to firstlibertyga.com. That's firstlibertyga.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
10,000 times. A family of 5 will open their garage door 10,000 times a year. The garage door is now your front door. Dave Baker here. If a spring breaks or your garage door just won't open, call the original overhead door company of Atlanta. Trusted here since 1935. A technician from Overhead Door Company of Atlanta is available 24/7 for your convenience. Call 404 USA Door or schedule online at overheaddooratlanta.com.
Hey, it's Scott Slade for FGA Roofing. If your home's exterior could use an updated look, or maybe one of your neighbor's designer roofs has caught your eye, and your current roof has started to show its age, then now's the perfect time to check out FGA Roofing for the latest in architectural shingles, timberland shingles, and more. Slate, tile, wood shake, cedar roofs, FGA has them all. FGA Roofing offers 0% financing for 12 months with your good credit. Get the roof you want now and pay over time. FGAroofing.com.
Ramjack has the highest quality foundation repair products in the nation. And I'm not just saying it. An independent testing organization certified it. Doug Turnbull here. No other foundation repair product will perform as well as Ramjack. My friend Mark Beckham, the owner of Ramjack, gets calls every day to remove and fix the work other foundation companies left behind. That's why Ramjack backs their work with a fully transferable life of the structure warranty. Get your free estimate. Just Google Atlanta Ramjack.
Live team coverage of traffic and weather. Here's Veronica Harrell.
Right now, talking about a slow zone, something new going on. 285 southbound, the outer loop below Hallowell Parkway, exit 12. At least one lane is blocked. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
This is WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Mostly cloudy today. Some isolated light rain showers possible on the north side of the metro and heading up into the North Georgia mountains. Today's high is 82. Lows tonight in the mid-60s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, high 85. Heating up to the upper 80s by Thursday.
All right, we'll have more news at 1 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
He's got the courage to tell you the truth, because the truth is what matters. You're listening to The Eric Erickson Show.
Hello there. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the show, I am happy to have you. And please do text the word Army to 33777. As we start going around the country, we want to be able to let you know when we're going to be there. For those of you listening on KRMG in Tulsa, Oklahoma, we're going to be out there November 7th. We're sorting on where the venue is going to be, looking for the sponsors to help and all that sort of stuff right now. And KRMG is handling all that stuff. But we're going to be out. It'll be the first post-election debriefing that we do. It'll be in Tulsa, Oklahoma, November 7th. Time and venue is being arranged right now, but looking forward to it. So if you text the word Army to 33777, we'll be able to send you a link so that you can RSVP when all that gets set up and see us in Tulsa. Looking forward to seeing everybody out there. Now, I look, we're going to get into the conversations and stuff about the second assassination attempt on Donald Trump and the Calvin ball the media is playing, but there's actually other news that I think we really need to pay attention to first. This is a local story in Rome, Georgia. I'm up there on the radio, and this is just a story that all of us get to hear on a regular basis in the United States these days. Here's the headline from WSB TV. Mother of 3 killed, 1-year-old daughter critically injured after head-on DUI crash in Floyd County. 2 people are dead, and a suspected DUI driver is behind bars following a head-on crash earlier this month. According to Rome police, Omar Garcia was spotted driving a black Dodge Charger that turned right from Lavender Drive onto Shorter Avenue. Officials said Garcia was speeding, which prompted a chase. Rome Police Department learned that the Charger was a red-eye edition, which is equipped with a supercharger and generates 797 horsepower. The Charger vanished, and police called off the chase and issued a lookout to all nearby officers. Moments later, another officer traveling south on Riverside Parkway spotted the Charger at a distance, still speeding eastbound on Turner McCall Boulevard. Once the officer activated their lights and tried to follow the Charger, the officer arrived at the scene of a severe head-on crash involving the Charger and a Honda Accord. The wreck resulted in the death of Kadrian LaMiracle Harris, 23, and Malik Crystal Henderson, 23. According to a GoFundMe, Harris was the mother of 3 children. Her 1-year-old daughter was critically injured. Kendra Moten, the organizer of the GoFundMe, identified herself as Harris's big sister, and the 1-year-old is Riley Harris. Passengers in the Charger sustained minor injuries and were hospitalized. The Floyd County Sheriff's Office said Garcia was traveling 80 miles per hour in a 35-mile-per-hour speed zone. Garcia was arrested and charged with 2 counts of vehicular homicide, 1 count of serious injury by vehicle, DUI, driving without a license, fleeing, attempting to elude, reckless driving, and driving too fast for conditions. He was booked into the Floyd County Jail. Additionally, the Floyd County Sheriff's Office says Omar Garcia has a hold through the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, ICE. ICE. There you go. Another one. Another person here who ICE was looking for, who probably shouldn't have been here, that got in through the Biden-Harris administration policies. I want to play you this. This is Bill Malugin on Fox News. Did you know how Joe Biden and Kamala Harris now say that the number of border crossings of illegal aliens has gone down? the number of border crossings of illegal aliens has gone down. You know how they did it? Listen.
Record high illegal crossings down at the southern border have obviously been a huge political headache for the Biden administration. So at the start of 2023, they created 2 new programs to allow migrants to come into the U.S. legally, bypassing Border Patrol entirely. And according to new CBP data, those Biden programs have now allowed more than 1.3 million migrants to come into the U.S. So take a look at this. According to that CBP data, about 530,000 migrants have now flown into the U.S. as part of the Biden administration's controversial mass parole program for Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans. It's called the CHNV program. Now, more than 200,000 of them have been Haitians coming in, and at least 2 of those Haitians were arrested for sexually assaulting children this year. Take a look. Earlier this month, Haitian national Akeem Mark Desire was arrested for allegedly molesting a 10-year-old boy in Massachusetts. He first flew into the U.S. as part of the CHNV parole program in June of 2023. Then back in March, another Haitian national, Corey Alvarez, was arrested for aggravated child rape. That's after prosecutors say he raped a girl in a migrant hotel outside of Boston. He also flew into the U.S. as part of the CHNV parole program back in June of 2023. Now, there's a second program. According to CBP data, since January 2023, more than 800,000 migrants have now been allowed into the U.S. via the Biden administration's use of the controversial CBP One cell phone app. That allows migrants to book appointments at ports of entry to be released into the U.S. That includes nearly 45,000 migrants last month alone, an average of nearly 1,500 migrants coming in every single day. And this year, Kenal Baptiste, a Haitian national who came into the U.S. in July 2023 via that cell phone app, was arrested in New York and charged with a double murder.
So they've reduced the number of illegal aliens coming into the country by creating programs that allow them to come in the country and designate them as allowed to be here. They've essentially cooked the books, which is what they've been doing on the economy. It's what they've been doing on crime. It's what they've been doing on illegal immigration. This is one of the very important points to be made. You know how, for example, they tried to fact check Donald Trump at the debate to say that actually crime is down in the country. 2 things. 1, the FBI changed how it collects crime data. And many of the major cities in the country stopped reporting their crime data to the FBI. Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Baltimore, New Orleans, St. Louis, New York, among others, stopped reporting their crime data to the FBI. So you can't say, looking at the FBI data, that crime is down because major cities that are hotbeds of crime stopped reporting to it. Second, the other issue is a lot of people have stopped reporting a number of crimes. For example, shoplifting crimes are down, theft crimes are down, but that's not actually true. It's that people have stopped reporting those crimes in a number of areas of this country because they know it's not going to get enforced. So why bother? They cook the books and tell you that you got to believe the data. The data overstated employment in this country by 1 million people, and every month they've been revising it down. And now the Biden administration has been telling us the number of illegal aliens coming into this country is down. And as Bill Malugin at Fox News has discovered, one of the things they did is they created new programs so that illegal aliens can come into this country, bypass the border system, and they can be considered allowed to be here. They're not legal residents. They're allowed to be here pending processing, and more than one of them has committed a crime. And now we have 2 women in Rome, Georgia, dead because of someone who came here due to the Biden-Harris administration policies of an open border. We have multiple young women in the United States murdered because of it. We have young men murdered because of it. We have people killed in driving incidents because of it. You can tell me all you want that actually illegal aliens are less likely to commit crime than people who are legally allowed to be here and American citizens. And that's all well and good, except all of these people killed by illegal aliens would be alive, not because of legal citizens killing them, but because of the illegal aliens. You can tell me I'm not supposed to use the word illegal alien, that's racist, but all you're trying to do is to distract from the fact that the Biden-Harris administration has decided to play word games and cook books instead of dealing with the problem. What is infuriating to me as well is how the Republicans are not every single day talking about this issue. Why talk about illegal aliens taking the lives of Americans on a near daily basis in this country when you can tweet about your hatred of Taylor Swift? There are very real problems. Much of the American press corps and the Democratic Party would prefer you not pay attention to the problems. In fact, many of them would prefer to cook the books to make it look like the problem's not there, even though you and I and everyone else knows the problem is there. But also one of the problems is the Republicans just keep getting distracted, or at least certain Republicans keep getting distracted and not talking about the issue that really matters. Americans are getting killed by illegal aliens who have been allowed into this country by the Biden-Harris administration. And you know what the pushback is from the Biden-Harris administration and the media is that, well, it would be unconscionable to do a mass roundup of all of these illegal aliens and deport them. How dare we try to deport the people who aren't supposed to be here? It's their Calvin ball. They keep moving the goalposts on us. They say, well, yes, we agree with you that we have too many illegal aliens in the country, so let's deport them. No, we can't deport them. That would be cruel and unusual punishment to people who aren't even supposed to be here. They just keep moving the goalposts. They keep rewriting the rules. The fact of the matter is, this is an issue that the Republicans actually should be talking about on a regular basis. And at the senior levels, they seem to get easily distracted by other things. You don't have to talk about dogs and cats in Springfield, Ohio, being stolen and cooked. You can talk about Kadrian Harris and Malik Henderson killed by Omar Garcia. You can talk about Laken Riley murdered in Athens, Georgia. You can talk about all the other Americans whose lives have been cut short because of the open border policies of the Biden-Harris administration. You can talk about the economic fallout. You can talk about the gangs coming into the country. You don't have to make stuff up to try to get the media to pay attention to it. You can repeat on a daily basis the things that are real, that are outrageous, that should outrage Americans on a daily basis. But Republicans, too clever by half, have decided they'd rather invent clever lies that are salacious to get the media to pay attention than to actually on a daily basis mention the names of the dead Americans killed by illegal aliens, which in my mind would be a much more powerful way to convey the same story. The fallout and consequences of the open border policies of the Biden-Harris administration, which is now creating programs so that they can avoid counting people as illegal aliens and claim instead they're allowed to be here, so we shouldn't hold the data against them. They're cooking the books to hide the fallout of their policies, and Republicans regularly should be calling them out. Yet again, more Americans have been killed by illegal aliens. And for those of you who yet again want to say, but, Americans are more violent and commit more crimes, maybe so, but these people would be alive except for the illegal aliens, not the Americans. But everybody wants to be distracted and focus on other things. Now, let's focus for a moment on the secret war on cash that the American government is engaging in. I've got a copy of Swiss America's report. I know I knew some of this. Like if you look at American dollar bills, in addition to the serial numbers, they have all sorts of anti-counterfeiting measures. But in addition to those things, they have means to track your spending. So you think that your cash purchases are anonymous purchases and secure, and they may not be. Digital currency as well. The federal government wants to track all that stuff. They want to audit you. They want to tax you. Between bank collapses and everything else going on and interest rates right now, we got the secret war on cash to worry about. In Swiss America, the trusted leader in precious metals for 40 years, wants to educate you about this. They're rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau, and they can help you protect your assets. All you need to do is get their report, The Secret War on Cash. It is completely free. You can get a copy by calling or texting my name, Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 800-289-2646. Text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 800-289-2646. The All-Out War on Cash includes digital forms of currency, and it's growing. So read the report this year we're on cash for free. Just mention Eric, E-R-I-C-K, when you call or text 800-289-2646. Again, the report is completely free. All you do is text my name or call and mention my name, Eric, to 800-289-2646. 800-289-2646. Message and data rates may apply.
When the world seems crazy, he'll keep you sane. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
12:50 in the Coolray Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. Right now, running into delays through Alpharetta, possibly construction, Georgia 400 northbound, up around Windward Parkway, exit 11. Moving elsewhere downtown, just a few brake lights, 75, 85 north and south. And the trouble over on 285 southbound, the outer loop, just past Hallowell Parkway, exit 12, is now off to the right. This report brought to you by Batteries Plus. Power on this summer with Batteries Plus. Stores and online, too. You'll find batteries for your car, RV, boat, motorcycle, golf cart, and more. Power on with Batteries Plus. Visit one of their 700-plus locations today. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
On air,
Online,
on the app,
where you get your news,
is where you'll win.
Download the WSB radio app now and maybe win $1,000.
That's amazing.
The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz.
5 words, 5 times a day, every
This
weekday.
is Dawn in Brazelton, and I just won $1,000 from WSB.
Just enter the word at WSBradio.com or on the WSB radio app.
Your next chance to win is coming up at 2
The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz.
on 95.5 WSB.
I'm here with Chris Hoffman of the Hoffman Financial Group and host of Money Unleashed. Chris, whether we want to be or not, we are all wrapped up with this presidential election, but what, if any, effect should that have on our current and future financial planning?
You got to go back to your plan. Your plan is very individualized. We will create something around what works for you and your family and your needs, and we'll cover and we'll check the boxes on the Democrats, the Republicans, the tax changes, Social Security impact, etc. We are watching all of those metrics and those topics extremely close so that you don't have to. So tamp down your political belief and let us just present to you a full financial plan. And yes, for the next 4 years, 8 years, 20 years of your life, we're going to have to move around as tax brackets change, as Social Security payments may be impacted. Nobody has pensions anymore, so as pensions kind of wane and fall away, we need something to replace them. But there are some things that we certainly pay attention to on the political landscape, but that political landscape is one piece of many. So there are many metrics we're looking at. The election's a heated topic and very interesting to talk about, but it has to have its proper place. It does not take front and center in our decisions to invest or our plans. That's having a vision for if this goes this way or this way, we need to be prepared for either scenario. That's where the Replace My Paycheck Challenge and having a deep income discussion with our advisory team could serve everybody very well.
Go ahead. Take the Replace My Paycheck Challenge today. Call the Hoffman Financial Group at 404-737-3858, 404-737-3858, or online at unleashyourmoney.com. Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Hoffman Financial Group Incorporated, Georgia Insurance License number 163546.
WSB Atlanta, WSBB FM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Breda has got the bugs beat at the Baker House, and that's just the beginning. Hey, it's Dave Baker. The local folks at Breda Pest Management know my house inside and out, and they've customized a unique treatment plan that stops bugs and critters. With Breda, it's always a familiar, local person servicing my home and answering my calls. It's never an irritating, automated call center. You know, a lot of so-called local pest companies aren't even local anymore. They've been bought up by mega groups focused only on bigger profits, which means they're charging you more and taking shortcuts like not even treating the inside of your home. Breda cares and will work harder for you. They're our neighbors and they're invested in our community, and doing it better is what the Breda family does. So if your used-to-be local pest control company isn't local anymore, switch to Breda. Get started at BREDAPest.com.
Breda, Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
Live stream, email, and social media links by texting Eric to 33777 now.
Hello there. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States. The phone number 877-973-7425 if you want to be on the program. This is mostly for my boss, Ken. We don't talk about ratings a lot on radio, and my gosh, I've gotten angry people. And, the funniest thing is the most hate I get these days is actually from diehard Trump supporters who just feel like I'm not sufficiently enough on the team, therefore they need a new radio host. And I very politely respond to them when they tell me I'm bankrupting radio stations across the country, that this is a business, and if my ratings were bad, I wouldn't be on their local radio show. But I can assure you my ratings are fantastic. In fact, in many markets, up significantly, not because of the election cycle either. It's trending up well before. But so I'm a well-listened radio show host in Atlanta, Georgia. And going to a Braves game last night it's both very awkward and also very, very nice. So David and Christy from Alpharetta, he's a police officer up there, he and his wife, that was in the Delta 360 area, and they stopped and asked if they could have a picture and chatted with them, and then several others. But so the point here is my humbling story. So I had got very good seats, was taking some advertisers to the game. We got great seats right up by the fence and had to go to the bathroom. On my way out of the bathroom, I got stopped by a couple. They saw me and they're like, "Oh, it's Eric Erickson. Hey, would you mind having a picture?" I never have a problem. People want to take a picture. So take a picture with them. Well, another couple sees that they're taking a picture with me and they come over and say, "Oh, love your show. Could we have a picture?" Take a picture with the second couple. So then this guy sees me, and the guy sees me take a picture with him and says, "Hey, do you mind if I get a picture with you? I love your show." No big deal. Take a picture. So a fourth person sees me, comes over, has his picture taken with me, and then looks at me and says, "So what do you do for the Braves?" He had no idea who I was. Absolutely no idea. So I was like, "I don't work with the Braves." He says, "Why are people getting their picture taken with you?" I said, "I do a radio show in Atlanta." He says, "Oh, okay." I had no idea. It was a deeply humbling moment after taking pictures with all these people who knew I was. This guy, absolutely no idea. Now, you would think, by the way, that just by virtue of me being on the radio, that it would be easy for me to walk around because, I mean, as long as they don't hear me speak, they don't know. Oh, no, they all know. They all know. There are some who hear my voice, but by and large, I mean, my face has been on billboards. They all know what I look like. It was very, very fine. People were coming up all night long. I was very flattered to do it, but it was very funny. This guy, I mean, one person sees another person, and then that last guy, he's like, "So what do you do with the Braves?" Like, you have no idea who I am. At least no one talked to me while I was peeing. That was good. That usually happens. All right, we got to move on. We have to move on to the subject of the day. Beyond the exploding pagers to Donald Trump and, well, the left's reaction to the second assassination attempt. This hour of the program brought to you by First Liberty Building and Loan. If you're buying a building, building a building, if you're buying a franchise, buying out a business partner, or you need a heavy equipment loan, they can move very fast with loans. They make their own lending decisions. They know how to help businesses grow. They'd love to help you, and they can help any business in the United States, including Alaska and Hawaii. So reach out to them. FirstLibertyGA.com. FirstLibertyGA.com. Let First Liberty help you. If they can help your business grow, they'd love to. We'll be back.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
News, weather,
Traffic.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 1 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news sponsored by Hip Nation. Sex, drugs, guns, and money. Now an award-winning rapper indicted. Sean Diddy Combs indicted on federal sex trafficking and racketeering charges. Federal investigators searching his home 6 months ago, taking evidence including phones and weapons. Federal officials saying that the music mogul led a criminal organization that was involved in kidnapping, forced labor, and sex trafficking. U.S. Attorney Damon Williams.
Combs used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sexual performances with male commercial sex workers, some of whom he transported or caused to be transported over state lines. Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them.
And Combs' attorney says that he will plead not guilty and would fight to have his client released from custody. Combs expected in court this afternoon around 2:30. Cloudy today with a high of 82. Could have some scattered showers, mainly north of the city, says WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Former President Trump praising the work of the U.S. Secret Service and law enforcement for their response to the second apparent assassination attempt against him. The incident was stopped by law enforcement while the former president was golfing at his course in West Palm Beach, Florida. Correspondent Manuel Bojorquez reporting this afternoon on security concerns now surrounding that incident that include the suspected gunman's plan detailed in a book.
They are continuing to build the case against him. It's interesting that the only two charges that have been filed so far are related to possessing a gun as a convicted felon. We didn't hear anything yet in court about an attempted assassination attempt, I should say, anything about the former president, anything about the golf club.
President Biden has also talked with Mr. Trump about the incident and told reporters that he feels the agency needs more help and is calling on Congress to respond to its needs. And this is new this afternoon, a drug bust in Fayette County.
A Fayette County deputy's traffic stop led to the arrest of a convicted felon on drug charges. Fayette County Sheriff Barry Babb says these sorts of stops are the ones keeping kids safer.
We get these drugs off the street because it's street-level drugs, and this is where they wind up going into the schools.
Babb says drugs these days are stronger than ever before. Keeping any amount off the street is a victory. Lisa Nicholas, 95.5 WSB.
It's 102.
So, you need new siding. Well, do your homework. Improperly installed siding is common. Home Fixer Show host Dave Baker here. I've done the research. Nelson Exteriors is my only siding recommendation. They're a James Hardy Color Plus specialist, and Nelson Exteriors has more dedicated project managers per job focused on your home. The highest level of quality control and no cutting corners. A beautiful new siding job installed properly that lasts longer. Get your free siding quote from my guys. Just Google Nelson Exteriors.
This is Greg Trusinski from the Original Mattress Factory. I want to share the story of a couple I worked with recently. After receiving a quote from a competitor for a mattress, they visited OMF and found a mattress that was a great fit for them. They were so pleased with our quality and value that they ended up purchasing 2 mattresses, a box spring, headboard, and frame. Their total at OMF was roughly $400 less than what they would have spent on just the one mattress at the competitor. If you're ready to get better sleep for less, visit us at originalmattress.com.
Hey, it's Eric Erickson. I'm here with my friend Dr. Brian Hill, owner and founder of Hip Nation. Tell me a recent experience about a company where you saw real employee savings.
We had an electricians company that decided to look into Hip Nation. Heard us on the radio, actually heard your voice, Eric. They reached out. We ran their plan. They compared to our solution at Hip Nation. For their 25 employees, they saved $114,000 in year one. And that's just the first year. That $114,000 is going to roll over year after year.
Brian, if I'm a small business owner looking at saving money and I'm looking at Hip Nation, what would you tell me is the compelling reason to check out Hip Nation?
Our goal is to help an employer save a significant amount of money and to make sure that their employees get great access to great health care. We see businesses as small as 5 employees saving as much as $50,000 by switching to us. We had a flooring company that just recently switched and put $50,000 back into their bottom line.
Go to hipnation.com to get a healthcare quote for your business today. The call's free. The savings are life-changing. That's hipnation.com.
A Total Plumbing is now part of your trusted Ace Hardware Home Services team. Their expert plumbers are ready to provide top-notch service and repairs. Visit a-totalplumbing.com to learn more. A Total Plumbing and Ace Hardware Home Services, bringing helpful to your home.
Noticing granules in your downspouts, gutters, or scattered on the ground? Your roof may need replacing. Think of Finley first. Dave Baker here for Finley Roofing, the roof guys. Get started with a free roof analysis. Schedule now at finleyroofing.com. Roof.
Live team coverage of traffic and weather. Veronica Harrell's in the 24-hour traffic center.
And right now, I'm talking about delays through Alpharetta because of construction in the left lane. Georgia 400 northbound at Windward Parkway, exit 11. Maybe something new, 575 southbound below 6th Road, causing delays through Holly Springs and on the downtown ride volume, 7585 north and south. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Increasing cloud cover today with isolated light rain showers mainly on the northeast side and closer to the mountains. Today's high is 82, lows tonight in the mid-60s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, high 85. Thursday, mostly sunny, heating up to a high of 88.
As we take a look at WSB Storm Tracker radar, it looks like a few showers north of the city right now. In Lawrenceville, it's cloudy, 70 degrees, 77 in College Park right now. And in Kennesaw, you have more clouds than anything right now, and 72 degrees. We'll have more news at 1:30, breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
Three, two, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls across the United States, I'm delighted to have you with me. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, I would be very happy to have you. I have a lot of stories that I have to weave together at this moment because they all play together and you need to know about them. I must begin with the bomb hoaxes in Springfield, Ohio. If you did not hear Governor DeWine's press conference, turns out that the bomb threats to the local schools and City Hall and others in Springfield, Ohio, were foreign-based hoaxes. Now, I need to step back to the Mueller investigation. The Mueller investigation came from the allegations about Donald Trump related to the Steele dossier and other things. He was the special counsel brought in, and here's the thing. What the left and the media and the Democrats have tried to avoid grappling with is what Bob Mueller showed pretty decisively, is that the Russians weren't trying to get Donald Trump elected in 2016. What the Russians were trying to do was sow discord in this country so that the left and right would be at each other's throats. And that if we were turned inwardly, looking at each other as the enemy, we would ignore what the Russians were doing abroad. And to this day, the Russians and outside foreign agitators are trying to sow discord in this country in the run-up to the election. It has nothing to do with about picking a side. It has to do with making Americans fight each other ever more viciously. It turns out that the 30 bomb threats were foreign-perpetrated hoaxes in Springfield, Ohio, according to Governor Mike DeWine. Many of them from the same country. He did not say what country that was. Now, let's also tie that to the story of Tenet Media, where the FBI alleges that Russia Today worked with a woman and her husband who were Canadian, and then paid a number of American commentators large sums of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars, for not a whole lot of work, to produce videos that advanced a Russian talking point, a Russian line, that sowed more discord and division in this country. Now, those who were paid, it appears, probably didn't know they were being paid, but I do kind of think that if you're being paid several $100,000 a month for not a whole lot of work, you should probably ask some questions that they didn't want to ask questions. Means they probably had suspicions, particularly knowing supposedly that the person involved was foreign from another country, and that was a created person. It was actually the Russians. The Russians are trying to stir up division in this country. The Chinese are doing it as well. So now let's fast forward to the Trump assassination story. This is the second assassination attempt on Donald Trump. And what the left is doing and what the media is doing is Calvin ball. If you're unfamiliar with the concept of Calvin ball comes from the cartoon Calvin and Hobbes. The boy Calvin and his imaginary but very real tiger Hobbes, Calvin would play Calvin ball. And the rules of Calvin ball were very simple. There were no rules except they benefited Calvin. And the rules would always be changed so that Calvin could always win. That was Calvin ball. And that's what the press is doing, and that's what the Democrats are doing with the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. And it ties into this situation because I have a friend. I know many of you don't care for my friend Anna Navarro. She was on The View. I think the world of Anna and her husband. We just vehemently disagree on politics. She and I get along very well, and we just don't talk about politics. She despises Donald Trump, as does her husband. I have known her for longer than I've known many of you. And we just don't talk about politics. We don't talk to each other on a regular basis these days. But I need to play you this bit from Anna on CNN. And I don't tend to like to engage with friends of mine, particularly if they're not here with me to talk about it. But I got to play you this audio.
I agree with you. It's, I think we should all question the rhetoric. The problem is that Donald Trump, who I think, if you were doing hurricane categories, he's on hurricane category 5, whereas the other side might be a 2. And Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are not questioning their rhetoric. Right now, because of their rhetoric, because of what he said in that debate, there's been 33 bombing threats in Springfield, Ohio. That would not have happened but for this false conspiracy theory being spread by the vice presidential and presidential Republican candidate. And those Haitians in Springfield, Ohio, and those students and the people that are victims of these threats and everything that's going on there don't have 24/7 Secret Service, right? They're on their own.
She might not have known at the time she said it. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. They were hoaxes spread by foreign agitators who wanted to divide this country. And to her point, she wants to categorize the rhetoric of Donald Trump and J.D. Vance as a Category 5 hurricane and maybe the other side of Category 2. I would tell her that I think the other side is a Category 5 and that instead of trying to hold the other side accountable, it's time to hold your own side accountable. I mean, this is always my frustration with people in the media who they're not on my side and they want to hold my side accountable. They never want to hold their side accountable. It relates to, for example, Nikemia Williams, who is a Georgia congresswoman, went on CNN with Cassie Hunt. Listen to this conversation.
I'd like to start just with what J.D. Vance said there and your reaction to how he talked about Kamala Harris.
So it's no secret that I'm not a Trump supporter, but when I heard the news, I don't want that for anyone, regardless of their party. And what I heard from J.D. Vance is no one has tried to kill Kamala Harris. Would he want that? Why would you say that? in a time when we're talking about bringing down the temperature and changing the rhetoric and bringing the country together, unity, moving forward. We can disagree on policies, but we don't want anyone to have an assassination attempt.
That's true. That's true. But notice that she gets to respond to this comment from J.D. Vance.
You know, the big difference between conservatives and liberals is that no one has tried to kill Kamala Harris in the last couple of months, and 2 people now have tried to kill Donald Trump in the last couple of months. I'd say that's pretty strong evidence that the left needs to tone down the rhetoric and needs to cut this crap out. Somebody's going to get hurt by it, and it's going to destroy this country.
He's right, by the way. But notice what CNN did there. What Cassie Hunt on CNN did is she allowed this Congresswoman Williams, to respond to J.D. Vance to suggest that he's trying to get Kamala Harris killed, as opposed to pointing out that there have been 2 assassination attempts on one person in this country, and it's Donald Trump. And back to Ana Navarro's point that the Democrats are a Category 2 hurricane, he's a Category 5. You may think that, but I don't think that. And here's why I don't think that. Because on MSNBC on a daily basis, they refer to Donald Trump as a would-be tyrant who would take back power if he gets elected and never give it up. That he's the second coming of Hitler. That we are in the pre-Third Reich phase of this country. We're headed into the Third Reich. Michael Beschloss, the noted historian on Morning Joe and other programs, has said he's a tyrant. If someone doesn't stop him, he's going to be a tyrant and not give up power. And he's not alone. Regularly on MSNBC, that network in particular, they talk about Donald Trump as if he gets elected, he's never leaving power. Somebody's got to do something. The President of the United States, Joe Biden, refers to Donald Trump as a threat to democracy. Now, here's the more important point. You guys on the left believe that Donald Trump incited an insurrection with his words by telling people to storm the Congress. So did Joe Biden and Kamala Harris not inspire would-be assassins by saying if Donald Trump's not stopped, he's going to be an authoritarian, he's a threat to democracy? Did Michael Beschloss and the gang at MSNBC not inspire assassins? Because I got to tell you, James Hodgkinson, who attempted the mass assassination of Republican members of Congress, was an MSNBC viewer who heard on MSNBC the Republicans were harming old people with their attempt to repeal Obamacare. And remember, Democrats said people would die if net neutrality was repealed. People would die if the Trump tax cuts went through. People would die if Obamacare was repealed. And this guy decided he was going to stop the deaths of many by taking the lives of a few. That's from Democratic rhetoric. You listen, if you want to say Donald Trump's rhetoric is a Category 5 hurricane, okay. But don't tell me that the left, when they say that grandma's going to go off a cliff, this was a Democratic mail piece showing Paul Ryan shoving a grandmother off a cliff, that's not Category 5. Don't tell me that Democratic politicians saying people will die if Obamacare is repealed, we got to stop them, isn't Category 5. If you're going to classify them according to the hurricane scale, you can't tell me Democrats with a straight face telling people Republicans are going to kill people isn't serious. Where did Donald Trump say the Haitians are killing people? He said they're killing their pets. I don't know that Donald Trump said the Haitians are killing people in Ohio. Oh, but wait, a Haitian did kill an 11-year-old boy in Springfield, Ohio. The left doesn't want to hold themselves to the standards. It's Calvin ball here. Listen, this is again on MSNBC. Again on MSNBC. It's always MSNBC.
No question about it, but my point about whataboutism still stands. And you know that we're in a fact-free zone here, Joe. So you issued that challenge, and you're absolutely right. There's never been a Democratic leader or a Democratic candidate for president who has used rhetoric like telling Proud Boys to stand back and stand by. Never, never. But I promise you, as we speak right now, your social media feed is filling up with backbenchers and state assembly people from Oregon, et cetera, who have said unwise things. But my larger point is here, if we succumb to the destruction of moral discernment that comes with a reliance on the what about defense, they do it too. We're done. We're done.
Notice how they don't want to be held accountable on their own rhetoric. Notice the pivot. You're going to get examples, but those examples don't matter. Only Donald Trump matters. Joe Biden and the Democrats say if Donald Trump's not stopped, democracy's over. That's the President of the United States of America.
It is that network, MSNBC, that regularly says that Donald Trump is going to destroy the country, that our days may be at an end if Donald Trump isn't stopped. That's that network. And so they want to play Calvin ball and say, oh, Donald Trump says these terrible things. And when you get examples in your social media feed of Democrats, well, those don't really count. We can't do this both sides thing. Only Donald Trump does. And now you've got Democrats, you've got The Atlantic, you've got all of these other outlets saying, well, you know, Donald Trump's kind of asking for it. His rhetoric is so outlandish, he's kind of asking for it. It's always the Republican rhetoric that's outlandish. But remember, George W. Bush was a racist. John McCain was a racist. Mitt Romney was a racist. They were always racists. They were always vilified. Every one of them was vilified. Remember, George W. Bush, when he ran for office in 2000, 2 men in Texas had tied a black man to the back of a truck with chains and dragged him to kill him. George W. Bush executed those men in Texas. As governor of Texas, he signed their death warrants and killed them. Democrats attacked him for not doing enough to stop the lynching of black men in Texas. And it was as if George W. Bush was lynching black men in Texas because he didn't charge the 2 men he had executed with a hate crime. Democrats always apply the rhetoric to the Republicans and always find a way to make themselves not culpable. And you know what it is now? You've got David French from The Atlantic saying, well, the difference is the things Donald Trump says aren't true. The things the left says, they actually are true. So you really believe that the country is over if Donald Trump gets elected? I'm willing to bet you if Donald Trump gets elected, in 4 years, we're going to have another election. It's not that what you say is true. It's that what you say you hope other people believe is true. And you find a way to excuse yourself. And what we're seeing now is the left has now moved rapidly from these assassination attempts against Donald Trump are bad to he's asking for it. And that heats things up at a time the Democrats say they want to cool things down.
Want to be on the show?
Hello? I love your show.
Call Eric now at 877-973-7425.
121 in the Coolray Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. Right now, a crash is off to the left. Connector 75-85 southbound near 10th Street, just below 10th Street, exit 250, and it is causing some brake lights through Midtown. This report brought to you by Great American RV Superstores. Adventure seekers and road trip enthusiasts head to Great American RV Superstores today. Thousands of top brand motorhomes and towables ready for delivery and priced to sell. Visit GreatAmericanRV.com. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
On air,
online,
on the app,
where you get your news,
is where you'll win.
Download the WSB radio app now and maybe win $1,000.
That's amazing.
The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz.
5 words, 5 times a day, every
This
weekday.
is Dawn in Brazelton, and I just won $1,000 from WSB.
Just enter the word at WSBradio.com or on the WSB radio app.
Your next chance to win is coming up at 2.
The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz.
On 95.5 WSB.
A lifetime warranty says a lot about a company. Lifetime is a long time. Home Fix It Show host Dave Baker here. I can't think of a better place to have a lifetime warranty than on the roof of your home. It covers everything you own and love. That's why I love Finley Roofing. Only Finley Roofing, the roof guys, provide a lifetime leak-free warranty on labor and materials at no additional cost. Nobody else does that. Other roofers charge you more for a lesser warranty. Finley replaced the roof on my home and over 65,000 other homes locally. They've mastered the roof replacement process with impeccable, high-quality work. They've seen it all, they've replaced it all, and they've warrantied it all. With the Finley Roofing Lifetime Warranty, you'll never have to worry about your roof ever again. Time to replace your roof? Think of Finley first. Schedule your free roof analysis. No obligation, no charge at finleyroofing.com. Roof.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to health care. And that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. That's because MediShare works. It has for more than 30 years. It's a community of Christians who have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Just call 877-26-BIBLE. That's 877-26-BIBLE. 877-26-BIBLE.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on the station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to firstlibertyga.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to firstlibertyga.com. That's firstlibertyga.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
We've all heard it before. Buy one, get one Windows. 10% off if you call today. $500 off if you sign tonight. But are these really a special? If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Hi, this is Candace with Exovations, and have I got a tip for you. Don't fall for it. It's exhausting trying to keep up with all the fake specials being offered. And we all say the same thing. We're all licensed, we're all insured, we all have 5-star reviews. At Exovations, we want to earn your business the right way. But don't take our word for it. Let us show you why we say we are different from other contractors. To find out what it means to have an on-time, on-budget, and stress-free renovation, call me today at 770-205-2995 or online at exovations.com. That's exovations.com.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Join Eric's Army of Activists. Text ARMY to 33777 now.
So I knew it was going to happen, and it has. I might as well respond because I've gotten more than one email in during the last segment. How can you be friends with Ana Navarro, someone who hates this country and has communist views and supports communist candidates? I actually know her. You know her from TV. I would disagree with your assessment that she hates this country or backs communist candidates. In fact, if you knew anything about the background of her or her husband, you would know that she doesn't support communists. She doesn't view Kamala Harris as a communist. And even though I might disagree with her on that, we're not friends because of politics. We were friends because we worked at CNN together and got to know each other off air well before Donald Trump was something. And this, I'm going to try not to be mean. If you can't understand the Bible's commandment to love your neighbor because of that person's politics, you can't be friends with them, that's on you. It's not on me. I am friends with a lot of people who's vehemently opposed to their politics as they are to mine. But I have read the love your neighbor line in the original Greek. There are no footnotes, carve-outs, caveats. You can exempt them based on their politics. You can hate them based on their views, based on their sexual orientation, based on their whatever. I'm sorry. I'm not going to abandon friendships with people whose views I disagree with. I'm just not going to do that. I am a more well-rounded person because I have to find a way to navigate around people whose views I disagree with to maintain friendships. And I think the world of many people I disagree with. If you don't understand that, I can't explain it to you. But you're not the person you could be if you were able to do that, and you'd be a better person if you could. Now, I got to tell you about the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. The 3-pack, you can get them for less than $200. Save $200 at EdenPureDeals.com. All you do is put in the discount code ERIC3, ERICK3 at EdenPureDeals.com. You go to EdenPureDeals.com and the Eden Pure Thunderstorm, it wipes out noxious odors, litter box or spitters. I literally used it the other day in a hotel room because the people in the room next to me started smoking. Put down a wet towel under the door to keep the smoke out of my room and fired up the Eden Pure Thunderstorm, and it took out those odors. It's small. I travel with it. I can hold it in my hand. It's light, doesn't take up a lot of room. You can get 3 of them, upstairs, downstairs, your basement, your travel bag, wherever you need them. EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is ERIC3, ERICK3. ERIC3 at EdenPureDeals.com. You can thank me later. They really do work. EdenPureDeals.com, discount code ERIC3.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 1:30. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. The U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York today unsealing an indictment charging Sean Diddy Combs with racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and prostitution. The indictment alleges that between 2008 and the current, Combs abused, threatened, and coerced women and others and led a racketeering conspiracy that engaged in sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice, among other crimes. Here's U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Damian Williams.
As alleged, when Combs didn't get his way, he was violent, and he subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse so that they would participate in the freak-offs.
Now, Combs is expected in court next hour. It's going to be cloudy this afternoon with a high of 82, a few showers possible north of the city. This just in, state schools can now compensate athletes through name, image, and likeness. Governor Kemp just signing an executive order today allowing that. This comes in the middle of a legal battle between the National College Athletic Association and several athletic conferences over the issue of players getting paid. Now, this order does not allow state funds to be used for those payments for the players, and neither do their NIL deals. Money may come, though, from private donations or funds raised by the schools. And we've just gotten word that Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has now arrived here in Atlanta for a series of campaign stops. He was joined by his daughter Hope, and they were greeted by former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, Fulton County Commission Chair Rob Pitts, and Clayton County Commissioner Jeffrey Turner. It's 1:32. Stay close. Live team coverage of traffic and weather coming your way in less than 2 minutes.
Jeff and Roxanne here. We are the proud local owners of Rhino Shield, the ultimate exterior paint for your home.
Rhino Shield your home by the end of the month and get 10% off, plus no payments until next year.
Wait, really?
Yes, Roxanne, we talked about this.
And it comes in any color?
Any color, even your wife's favorite. And Rhino Shield still comes back by our 25-year transferable warranty.
Call 678-205-4500 now for 10% off and no payments until next year. 678-205-4500.
Hey, are you strapped in yet? Seatbelt buckled? It's going to be a wild ride, and we're all on the roller coaster of this election. Less than 60 days to go. Thank goodness. We're in the home stretch. Are you in the home stretch towards retirement? You might be white-knuckling it more than anybody else. It's Eric Erickson here. If you're over 50, have $250,000 or more saved for retirement, I'm doing a special live event with my friend and weekly Fox business guest, David Nicholas of Nicholas Wealth Management, on Thursday, October 3rd at 6 p.m. at the Foxglove in Marietta. It's open to the public if you've saved $250,000 or more for retirement, but seating is very limited. You can bring a spouse, bring a friend. We're going to discuss hot topics surrounding the November election and how the economy and your retirement could be impacted. Food and a cash bar are going to be provided by Carriage House Catering. Again, it's a registration-only event with limited seating. Call 404-890-5606 or go to nicholaswealth.com to register today. Again, it's me, Eric Erickson, my friend David Nicholas, live on Thursday, October 3rd at 6 p.m. at the Foxglove in Marietta for a free event talking about the markets and the election. Call 404-890-5606 or go to nicholaswealth.com to attend this free event while seating lasts.
This is an educational program only. Nicholas Wealth Management is an independent financial services firm that uses a variety of different investment strategies. This is for informational purposes only and will not address specific investment objectives or the financial situation and particular needs of any person who listens to this show. This is a paid advertisement.
It all started as a front door dream. You want those beautiful double doors for the front entrance of your home. But every company you talk to said that single door just can't go double. But with us, you can. Hi, I'm Dan Watkins, owner of All Four Seasons Garage and Entry Doors. We specialize in removing your dated single front door, side lights, and transom, replacing them with a beautiful double door, customized for that space to impress and welcome your guests. Get started at all4seasonsgarages.com.
Live team coverage of traffic and weather. Veronica Harrell's in the 24-hour traffic center.
And talking about some delays through Midtown because of a crash off to the left, 7585 southbound below 10th Street, exit 250. Elsewhere, it looks like that construction has wrapped up over on Georgia 400 northbound around Windward Parkway, exit 11. And over on the south side, just a few brake lights both directions, 75 southbound between Stockbridge and also Highway 155. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Mostly cloudy today. A few isolated rain showers possible on the northeast side of the metro. Today's high is 82.
70 degrees in Duluth, 74 in Loganville. Here in Atlanta, 77 degrees. More news at 2 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
Smart, fearless, and occasionally funny. You're listening to The Eric Erickson Show.
Hello there, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425 should you wish to be on the program. I gotta go somewhat down a rabbit hole with you here, so just follow along with me. There's increasing evidence that social media is bad and is actually a tie-in to blame for a lot of the mental health problems that we're having in this country. There's a piece in the Wall Street Journal, Jonathan Haidt and Will Johnson. Dr. Haidt's a social psychologist, spent a lot of time writing about social media and its ills and the effects of technology on kids. Let me just read you part of this. Was social media a good invention? One way to quantify the value of a product is to find out how many of the people who use it wish it had never been invented. Feelings of regret or resentment are common with addictive products like cigarettes and addictive activities like gambling, even if most users say they enjoy them. For non-addictive products, hairbrushes, say, or bicycles, walkie-talkies, or ketchup, it's rare to find people who use the product every day yet wish it could be banished from the world. What about social media? They achieved global market penetration faster than almost any product in history. The category took hold in the early aughts with Friendster, MySpace, and the one that rose to dominance, Facebook. By 2020, more than half of all humans were using some form of social media. So if this were any normal product, we'd assume that people love it and are grateful to the companies that provide it to them, without charge, no less. But it turns out that it can be hard for people who don't like social media to avoid it because when everyone else is on it, the abstainers begin to miss out on information, trends, and gossip. This is especially painful for adolescents whose social networks have migrated since the early 2010s onto a few giant platforms. Nearly all American teenagers use social media regularly. They spend an average of nearly 5 hours a day on these platforms. So what does Gen Z think about social media? It's more like walkie-talkies where hardly anyone wished they had never been invented, or is it more like cigarettes, where people enjoy smoking, but more than 71% of smokers regret even starting? Turns out Gen Z hates social media, even as they use it more than anyone else. They're not happy with it. It's not just what it's doing to them, but also what it's doing to their family, what they see it being done to their parents. I have to say, I see it happening in my audience. I mean that lovingly. Let's take the Trump shooting in Florida as just one example. When John Hinckley attempted the assassination of Ronald Reagan, he had an idea of where Ronald Reagan was going to be, got up on a rooftop, was able to evade the Secret Service, and he was an insane person. And he got lucky, got a shot off, and nearly killed Ronald Reagan. He got lucky. When, what's his name? John Lennon's assassin killed him, same thing. A lot of luck was involved. Mark David Chapman, thank you, Jim. When Mark David Chapman killed John Lennon, there was a lot of luck involved in timing of where he was and stalking and everything else. We know about this guy in Florida that he was there based on cell phone records of what information we're learning. He was there for 12 hours from about 2 o'clock in the morning. And he took a chance. Donald Trump doesn't go to church on Sundays. Donald Trump goes to the golf course. Donald Trump didn't have a public schedule, which meant he wasn't on the campaign trail. So the odds are Donald Trump was going to go play golf. If he's at Mar-a-Lago on a Sunday, he's got several golf courses. Where do you go? Well, this guy chose the closest one to Mar-a-Lago that Trump owned. Turns out that's where Trump went. Because this man showed up at the golf course and waited in the bushes for 12 hours with a gun that he had tried to file off the serial number, there are people who are convinced he must have worked for someone. He must be an Iranian agent. What we know about the man is that he was a crazy person who had driven his Nissan Xterra down from North Carolina carrying a gun across state lines. We don't yet know where he got the gun. People are already speculating. It probably came from some government agency. Might have come from some forwarders. Maybe he was working with Russians, or maybe he stole the gun. Maybe even though he was a felon, he had it and refused to surrender it, said it had been lost in a boating accident, like so many conservatives say they're going to do. We don't know. But he's down in the bushes at the golf course closest to where Donald Trump was, hoping that Donald Trump would come. And people have concluded, well, he must have been tipped off. Someone must have told him, or he got lucky, like John Hinckley, like Mark David Chapman, like so many other would-be assassins. They got lucky. He took a guess. Crazy people can make educated guesses. Donald Trump's not going to go to church on Sunday. He goes and plays golf on Sunday when he's not on the campaign trail. Which golf course do I think he's going to be at? Maybe the one closest to his house. I'm going to wait in the bushes there and see if he shows up. But people want to make simple things more complex these days, and they want to make complex things very simple because they have to have all the answers and they have to rationalize it. And that's one of the things that comes out of in the surveys of social media is because we live in a 24/7 news cycle, people are less likely these days than ever in the past to accept that some things don't have answers. Everything's got to have an answer. Not only does everything have to have an answer, everything must also be rationalized. And where we are as a society now is conspiracy has become the new witchcraft. In the 16 and 1700s, in the 1500s, things that could not be explained were explained as demons or witches, magic. And now, in the absence of answer, it must be conspiracy of the government, of corporation. The government and corporations, foreign actors, they become the new witches. They become the new witchcraft. They've become the new demons. People just can't accept in a 24/7 news cycle where we seem to know everything about the atom, we may not be able to ascertain someone's motivation for doing something. Therefore, it must be a government plot. Therefore, it must be a conspiracy. Therefore, it must be sinister. Therefore, it must be bad. And sometimes you just don't know the answer. Or sometimes you have a theory about things and you are confronted with evidence that your theory is wrong. So instead of reassessing your theory, because we're not allowed to be wrong. In this country, we're not allowed to be wrong. In Western society, people have thought, particularly people on social media, you're not allowed to be wrong, so it must be something else. So Kamala Harris outperforms Donald Trump, and Kamala Harris is a vapid dimwit. We all know she's a vapid dimwit. So how could she get the better of the man you've always assured yourselves is a genius? Well, ABC must have given her the questions in advance. The oh so difficult questions of Kamala Harris, what's your economic plan? The oh so difficult questions of Kamala Harris, your opponent sucks, tell us why. The oh so difficult questions of Kamala Harris, what are you going to do about global warming? The oh so difficult questions of Kamala Harris, your opponent put 3 justices on the Supreme Court who got rid of Roe v. Wade. What do you think about that? The oh so difficult questions of Kamala Harris, Can you tell us, as president, why will your poop not stink? The oh so difficult questions. She must have been fed the questions in advance. And oh, hey, here's an affidavit full of grammatical errors and misspellings where every piece of information that could identify it is redacted. So it must be true. It must be true, because I can't acknowledge that Kamala Harris did well. It must be a conspiracy. She must have been wearing speakers in her ears to feed her the answers, because there's no way she could give such shallow, vapid, unchallenged answers. Someone must have had speakers in her ears. Everything's got to be a conspiracy. It's the new witchcraft. It's no different from the people in the 15 and 1600s who couldn't acknowledge themselves to be wrong about something, or couldn't acknowledge they didn't know, so they had to say it was witchcraft. They had to say it was the demons. They had to say it was the full moon with Mercury rising through the Aquarius, the Gemini, whatever convoluted answer they would give. We're back to an age of metaphysics, because we live in an age where everything is known. We can crack the code on the atom, and we can land rovers on Mars and send back high-definition video. So there can't be anything we don't know, and we can't accept that we don't know answers. And even in cases where the answers are slow going and the stories are developing over time, we must extrapolate based on the limited information we have to provide the answers, because in a 24/7 news cycle, God forbid we might have to wait a couple of weeks to find out where the gun came from for this shooter. Since he filed off the serial number, it must be from the Russians or the government or Antifa or Kamala Harris. That's what social media has done to our brains. That's what social media has done. And so then what happens is we get very mad at the people who tell us we're wrong. And they don't even say we're wrong. They just give you the truth. And you get mad at the truth teller because they're telling you either what you don't want to hear, or you've reconciled in your brain and explained it. And so since you're a very smart person, you all know you're very smart people. If someone comes along and tells you you're wrong, well, that's a personal insult, even though you've extrapolated witchcraft from your conspiracy theory. That's what the data gets to with social media, and why young people realize it's bad. It's not just because they're competing against other people. It's not just because it's their self-esteem. It's not just because they see themselves being left out of things that their friends have done, and it draws in despair. It also causes them agitation and anxiety over the unknown. This back to Jonathan Haidt. While respondents cite more benefits than harms, that doesn't justify the unregulated distribution of consumer products that it's hurting, damaging really millions of children and young adults. We're not just talking about the sad feeling from FOMO, the fear of missing out or social comparison. We're talking about a range of documented risks from the use of social media from heavy users, including sleep deprivation, body image distortion, depression, anxiety, exposure to content promoting suicide and eating disorders, sexual predation and sextortion, and problematic use, which is the term psychologists use to describe compulsive overuse that interferes with success in other areas of life. If any other consumer product was causing serious harm to more than 1 out of every 10 of its young users, there would be a tidal wave of state and federal legislation to ban or regulate it. That's what social media is doing to Gen Zers. But also, Gen Zers are noticing what it's doing to their parents. There's a great meme I love that Fox News and MSNBC are doing to our parents what they told us video games would do to us. We're so online, we're so tuned in, we're so plugged in, we must have answers to everything, and when the answers don't come quickly, we have to justify what's going on and explain it in our mind. And then when the answer does come along, because we've come up with an answer ourselves that is wrong, we can't acknowledge that we're wrong. And so we descend further into blaming witchcraft. The problem these days is that it's not actually witchcraft, it's conspiracy. Everything is a conspiracy. Everything has to have an answer. And when we can't find that answer, it's got to be the government or the corporation or the big bad thing we hate, which is the witches. And we descend further into a societal madness that has in part helped inspire two individuals to try to kill a former president of the United States. The 24/7 news cycle, always on demand for information that we then magnify through social media, is hurting a lot of people and rotting a lot of people's brains, and they don't even realize it's happening. Now, one of the rots out there is the left's agitation against, for example, gun rights. You know, the only time the left doesn't talk about gun control is when the bullets are aimed at Donald Trump. But what they're doing, progressives are trying to get banks to stop doing business with gun companies. I bring that up because I just referred a business to my friends at Old Glory Bank. They're a gun store. They were with a bank, and the bank sent them notice and said, we're closing your account. They wouldn't give an answer. So they went to a bigger bank, and that bank just flat out said, we're not doing business with gun stores, because the left-wing shareholders of the bank have forced the bank not to do it. So I'm hoping they'll use Old Glory Bank. It's one of the reasons I love Old Glory Bank. One of the reasons they're my bank, because there have been a number of banks, it's a growing trend, where they turn off your bank account if you're a problematic person, if your political views don't align with them, if you try to buy guns through the bank, they just close your account. Old Glory Bank's not going to do that. They were formed by conservatives for conservatives, and they would love to be your bank. If you're interested in using a bank that protects your rights to do business with who you want to do business with and isn't going to be a nanny stater, Old Glory Bank, they're for you. OldGloryBank.com. OldGloryBank.com. You can get a no-fee checking, no-fee savings account. You can get a more advanced account with more features. They're even for, like, I've got a no-fee checking and a no-fee savings account with them. I still can use their online tools, their budgeting and things like that. They're very, very good. Their online bill pay, very good. Even though I have a no-fee checking account, I get access to the online bill pay. They're great. And I can deposit cash, even though they're an online bank. I love that I can deposit cash. My old online bank, I couldn't do that with. I can do it with Old Glory Bank. You can too. OldGloryBank.com. OldGloryBank.com. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender. Terms and conditions apply.
He's got the courage to tell you the actual truth, even when it isn't popular. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
151 in the Coolray Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center, where the crash in the Midtown area is gone. 7585 southbound below 10th Street, exit 250. Still, you're looking at brake lights in both directions, 7585 north and south through downtown and Midtown. This report brought to you by Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Learn more about their support of common threads and nutrition education at anthem.com/dream. Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield is the trade name, a Blue Cross Blue Shield healthcare plan of Georgia, Inc. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
News breaks.
Shots were fired at the golf course.
The details emerge.
We were
able to get a hit on that vehicle and detain the guy.
The facts become clear.
A weapon has been recovered.
Check back throughout your day. We'll bring you the story as it happens.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Even when it's not raining, if you see streaks and stains on your roof, loss of color, granules in your downspouts or on the ground, think of Finley First. The roof guys. They offer 0% financing. Schedule your free roof analysis at finleyroofing.com. Roof.
Get a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. Sell your home for maximum value without the stress of listing your home on the market. It's Eric Erickson here. Fall's a busy time. Trying to sell your home can be overwhelming. With the guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate, you skip the hassle, receive an all-cash offer, and you close within days. No showings, no open houses. The best part, no stress. With over 12,000 five-star reviews, you can trust Mark Spain Real Estate to sell your home quickly and for the most money. Go to markspain.com, find out what your guaranteed offer will be, and start packing.
Attention men, are you suffering from ED or PE? Here's an important message from Choice Men's Health.
I'm Dr. Katz and I'm the Chief Medical Director at Choice Men's Health. Are you performing the way you want to in the bedroom? If the answer is no and you've tried Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra and were disappointed, then you need to come see us immediately. If you don't see results on the first visit, then there's no charge. Many of our patients have medical conditions such as diabetes, hypertension, obesity, and prostate problems. I'm happy to say that we have 98% success rate with all our patients. Our customized solutions will allow you to perform within 10 minutes and last an hour and even longer. You can regain your love life and tackle your ED and PE problems. Guys, your partner will never complain again. Our clinic has the most affordable prices, so if you visit other clinics and you're not completely satisfied, then you need to call Choice Men's Health.
Regain your love life regardless of your age or medical history. Choice Men's Health guarantees results on your first visit or you pay nothing. Call now, 404-400-1170. That's 404-400-1170.
WSB Atlanta.
WSBB FM and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Eric Erickson for Hip Nation with a question for small business owners. What would you do if, no strings attached, I handed you $50 or $80 or $100,000 in extra cash flow each year? Give your employees a raise? Pay off debt? Put it in your own pocket? If you're attracted to the idea of an infusion of newfound cash, drop your expensive health insurance and give Hip Nation a call. Hip Nation can save you an impactful amount of money and improve the quality of healthcare for your employees. A 13-person company switched to Hip Nation and saved $80,000 and then used the windfall to buy a new air conditioning system for their warehouse. So I'm going to ask you again, what would you do if I gave you $50, $80, or even $100,000? Go to HipNation.com. You'll find out the savings are real. Then start putting money you save on health insurance back into your business or even into your pocket. HipNation.com. That's HipNation.com. The call's free. Your savings are life-changing.
Are your floors sagging or bouncy? What causes that? You need AquaGuard Foundation Solutions. Visit aquaguard.net today for your free inspection. AquaGuard Foundation Solutions. There's a reason they're the trusted local experts. Just remember, AquaGuard.
95.5 WSB, your 2024 election station.
You can be live on Eric's show by calling 877-97-ERIC. That's 877-973-7425.
Welcome back. It's Eric Erickson here. The phone number, 877-973-7425. Just exchange an email with listener Kent, who pointed out that Calvin never, even though Calvin kept changing the rules of Calvin Ball to win, he never actually won, except once. I pointed out one time, to my knowledge, Calvin won Calvin Ball, even though he kept arranging the rules to make sure he could always win. That was one of the geniuses there. I loved Calvin and Hobbes. It really was just the best comic. I have the big 3-volume set. And that Bill Watterson just kind of, like Gary Larson, the two best comics, Far Side and Calvin and Hobbes. And both of the comic creators just walked off into the night, which is kind of remarkable. I mean, Schultz did Snoopy Peanuts until he died. And it still goes on. They recycle the comics. And Snoopy was kind of the progenitor of all of them. And a lot of these comics have just, like, I don't find Garfield all that memorable anymore. My dad loves the comic strip. I do, too. There's a lot of wisdom to be gathered in comics. And there are some newer ones that are great. Who's the Viking? My dad always loved that one. I did, too. But, I mean, Calvin and Hobbes and the Far Side were genuinely regularly, consistently the most thought-provoking and funny. Far Side was very rarely very deep, but always very, very funny. And Calvin and Hobbes was always like very funny, but actually had a deep philosophy behind it. Of course, the name of the comic right there, Calvin for John Calvin and Hobbes for John Hobbes, the philosopher, just kind of tells you right there the depth that you would get from the comic. It was just always such a great one. If you've never read a Calvin and Hobbes comic, you should. If you've never read a Far Side comic, you should. I make my kids read the Far Side comics. My wife and I reference them all the time. Kind of a sad era with the collapse of newspapers. Hagar, yes, Hagar the Horrible. Thank you, Nancy. Hagar, my dad growing up loved Hagar. Of course, my dad is Swedish and the Viking theme, and they're still pretty good, but they're not as good as they used to be. Helga, his wife, Hagar, the Viking, the Wizard of Id, so many of them, so good. But Calvin and Hobbes and the Far Side are the two very best. Peanuts may be the standard bearer, but Calvin and Hobbes and the Far Side were the best. When we come back, we got to move on. People are starting to worry about the future in very big ways. I got some thoughts.
Nobody wants to think about their septic system. Hi, I'm Shannon. I started Scorpion Septic so you don't have to. My licensed, insured, experienced team responds 24/7 with fast, on-time service, upfront pricing, and high-quality work.
Take the sting out of septic service with Scorpion Septic, where there is never a pump-out charge with your repair. Call for more information. ScorpionSepticServices.com.
ScorpionSepticServices.com. If your home's AC system hobbled through this summer, listen up as I'm about to save you some money. Hi, this is Daniel Jape from Jape Services. Industry regulations are changing at the end of the year, and all heating and cooling systems will see a price increase. Get your system up to future standards now and beat that price increase. Plus, with up to $3,000 in incentives and 0% financing, you can get comfortable now and pay later. Schedule at japeservices.com.
Jape Services.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2 o'clock, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top story. Salacious details emerge as the feds announced today rapper Sean Combs faces sex trafficking and racketeering charges. U.S. Attorney Damian Williams alleges Combs forced women and male prostitutes to participate in drug-induced sexual performances called freak-offs.
The indictment alleges that Combs threatened and coerced victims to get them to participate in the freak-offs. He used the embarrassing and sensitive recordings he made of the freak-offs as collateral against the victims.
Combs is accused of carrying or brandishing guns to intimidate victims and witnesses, using his business and close associates to get his way. Combs will plead not guilty. He is due in court later this hour. It is 78 degrees in Atlanta, where there could be some rain today. Meteorologist Christina Edwards has Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast coming up. Governor Kemp signs an executive order today allowing state schools to directly pay athletes through name, image, and likeness. The governor says student athletes in Georgia should compete on a level playing field and not forego compensation opportunities available to athletes in other states. Kemp's order comes in the midst of a legal battle between the NCAA and several conferences over the issue of paying players. A routine traffic stop in Fayette County leads to a drug bust. Sheriff Barry Babb says it's typical of how law enforcement fight the war on drugs every day.
From that stop, it produced, multiple cell phones, good amount of marijuana, some other drugs. The person was a convicted felon and was in possession of a firearm.
He says this helps keep drugs out of schools in metro Atlanta. A SWAT standoff in Cobb County ends peacefully.
After about 4 hours, the Cobb County Police SWAT team was able to bring our suspect into custody.
Officer Aaron Wilson with Cobb Police says this was at the Belmont Crossing Apartments. The suspect, Eric Wilson, faces multiple charges, including aggravated assault for shooting at 2 people. Nobody is hurt. Instagram launches accounts specifically geared for teenagers. CEO Adam Mosseri says it's meant to help parents protect teens.
This change is really focused not on any litigations, but on parental concerns. We've really decided that parents should be our North Star. They've been clear on what they are most concerned about, and we're trying to proactively address those concerns.
Parents can limit who can contact their teenage children and set a timer on their screen time. The feature is for both new and existing accounts. It is 2:02. Up next, live team coverage of traffic and weather.
At City of Hope, we are driven to stop lung cancer, to respond to its every change, its every mutation with a new treatment approach, to meet the most complex cases with the latest innovations, to analyze cancer down to its DNA, then fight it with the newest surgical, radiation, and immunotherapies, to never give up, so you can be driven by hope. Learn more at cityofhope.org.
Hey, are you strapped in yet? Seatbelt buckled? It's going to be a wild ride, and we're all on the roller coaster of this election. Less than 60 days to go, thank goodness. We're in the home stretch. Are you in the home stretch towards retirement? You might be white-knuckling it more than anybody else. It's Eric Erickson here. If you're over 50, have $250,000 or more saved for retirement, I'm doing a special live event with my friend and weekly Fox business guest, David Nicholas of Nicholas Wealth Management, on Thursday, October 3rd at 6 p.m. at the Foxglove in Marietta. It's open to the public if you've saved $250,000 or more for retirement, but seating is very limited. You can bring a spouse, bring a friend. We're going to discuss hot topics surrounding the November election and how the economy and your retirement could be impacted. Food and a cash bar are going to be provided by Carriage House Catering. Again, It's registration only event with limited seating. Call 404-890-5606 or go to nicholaswealth.com to register today. Again, it's me, Eric Erickson, my friend David Nicholas, live on Thursday, October 3rd at 6 p.m. at the Fox Club in Marietta for a free event talking about the markets and the election. Call 404-890-5606 or go to nicholaswealth.com to attend this free event while seating lasts.
This is an educational program only. Nicholas Wealth Management is an independent financial services firm that uses a variety of different investment strategies. This is for informational purposes only and will not address specific investment objectives or the financial situation and particular needs of any person who listens to this show. This is a paid advertisement.
Does it seem like it's getting louder and louder? Yeah, that's not supposed to happen. That noise is your garage door crying for help. Hi, I'm Dan Watkins, owner of All Four Seasons Garage and Entry Doors. Our highly trained technicians provide 24/7 service, upfront pricing, and free estimates. We service all major brands. Our products are warranted, and our work is guaranteed. We will treat you like our only customer. When trust matters, trust us. All the number 4 Seasons Garages.com.
It is 2:05, time for live team coverage of traffic and weather in the 24-hour traffic center. Here's Veronica Harrell.
And saying good afternoon to you, Bill. Right now, no issues to deal with in the downtown area. Crashes have cleared. 75, 85 north and southbound still dealing with volume, though. Checking on a new slow zone, I-20 westbound. Once you get past Thornton Road, exit 44, causing brake lights over into Lithia Springs. And you are dealing with some brake lights over on the south side, 75 northbound, as you make your way up from 2081. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Increasing cloud cover today with isolated light rain showers mainly on the northeast side and closer to the mountains. Today's high is 82, lows tonight in the mid-60s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, high 85. Thursday, mostly sunny, heating up to a high of 88.
A few light rain showers east of Atlanta right now on Storm Tracker radar at 76 in Smyrna, 78 in Conyers, and 71 in Oakwood. More news at 2:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
It's the WSB 5K a day bonus blitz. This hour's keyword is drive. Go to the WSB Radio app or WSBradio.com/cash for your chance to win. Again, that keyword is drive. Join me live at 3 for the Von Hessler Doctrine, and I'll have your next keyword and chance to win at 5.
Hello there, welcome. It's Eric Erickson here. Sorry, I'm just getting new news on the update of what has happened overseas. Let me just read this for you. Israel will be mapping out injuries, hospital admissions, social media posts, electronic communications, news footage, and medical records, linking them all to people who had their pagers today. Forget the injuries and deaths. Israel just created a massive and growing trove of information about both known and previously unknown Hezbollah militants, as well as their supporters, partners, friends, family members, colleagues, workplaces, vehicles, and homes. They're creating an incredibly dense and up-to-date social graph of an entire terrorist network across Lebanon and in neighboring countries. So for those of you just tuning in, what has happened is Israel was able to trigger explosions in pagers. I wonder if Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar have had their congressional staff go back to using sticky notes today. So the casualty number continues to rise. I got to fill you in on this. And hospitals in Lebanon are absolutely overwhelmed. So here's what we know. Now, when I first told you about this in the 12 o'clock hour, we were at about 2,750 wounded and 8 dead. We are now closer to 4,000 people having been wounded. And more than a dozen dead. The lack of it's the put it to you this way, the high number of wounded, compared to the low number of deaths, again does suggest that perhaps this was a lithium battery explosion and not explosions planted in the pagers. Here is what we know based on confirmed reports now from both Lebanon and Israel. The pagers all came from the same source and were new pagers. Those pagers exploded. It appears, based on the size of the explosion, that they were battery explosions, not explosives planted in the pagers. So a lithium-ion battery can overheat. When the lithium-ion battery overheats, it tends to catch fire. However, if it overheats rapidly, it can cause an explosion. That explosion triggers a blast of steam through a confined compartment, which amplifies the explosive nature. It is right now speculation as to how they did it, but the speculation from both Lebanese and Israeli sources is that Israel was able to plant malware on these pagers, and that malware triggered the battery explosions. As of right now, and you got a million people listening, there are going to be a million different explanations for this, but based on what we know right now, the explanation the prevailing explanation is that these actually were the lithium batteries in the pagers that exploded, and the way the explosion was triggered was a rapid heating. And it is a known weakness with lithium-ion batteries that if you can rapidly cause them to heat, the battery, instead of catching fire, goes straight to an explosive state because it causes a breakdown in the cells of the batteries that generate steam. The steam pressure builds, causing the explosion. That's all we know right now. If you want to speculate in a different way, that's fine. Just please don't call and yell at my call screener that don't know what I'm talking about. I'm taking both the sourced reports from the Lebanese and the Israeli sources, and also the several people who I do know are experts in lithium battery technology telling me these things. Now, I will say this as well, because I've gotten this from a number of people saying, well, when are the terrorists going to be able to do this to us? Here's what we know based on the situation. From the reports we have and the credible speculation from authorities, this was from a single batch of pagers that were delivered to Hezbollah for distribution, that Israel most likely planted malware in them, not explosive devices in them, because they were probably inspected. And it was the malware from those pagers. So let's say you want to do it with an iPhone. Again, with an iPhone, you would have to be able to get access to Apple's facility. You would have to be able to implant malware that makes it across Apple's devices. And remember, Apple's devices have, for example, the secure chip. So anything that happens on the phone has to be triggered through the secure chip. So you would have to make your way backwards into Apple's software facilities to plan the software at Apple in California to then download it onto the phones to bypass. It would be a massive operation to be able to get that done. Now, here's the other thing. Some of you are going to, because again, this goes back to the conspiratorial thinking that everybody has these days. Some of you are going to theorize that, yes, this is possible, and it's only a matter of time before terrorists decide to blow up the iPhone. I can't stop you from thinking that. But you're not going to stop me from using my iPhone. If you want to give up your phone and go back to, I don't know, a pager, I can't stop you. But no reason to run your mind on the speculation and go down every rabbit hole that you decide to entertain. I don't have to entertain those rabbit holes. I'm just telling you based on what I know right now. Now, beyond that, we got more stuff we got to get to. One of the side effects of our 21st century thinking, where we blame conspiracies, and conspiracies are the modern witchcraft. In the 15 and 1600s, people would blame the witches. Now we're blaming the government and big business. Well, consumers are worried about the future, catastrophizing the what-if scenarios of the future. By the way, you should know, the stock market has surged and the Dow has broken records and made back all its losses. It's gained back enough to overcome all the losses, in large part because U.S. households have started spending again. There seems to be some increasing positive view of the economy, even as people are worried about the future. A record share of U.S. households, according to Bloomberg, are uncertain about the economic outlook, and most expect inflation to take a bigger chunk of their incomes. Plus, the likelihood of a comfortable retirement is the lowest in decades. People are starting to really worry about the future. With the pace of inflation, while the pace of inflation is cooling, prices remain much higher than before the pandemic. The Consumer Price Index has surged 21.5% from the end of 2019, and while incomes have also increased, consumers still say they're not getting ahead. As stock prices approach a record, the odds Americans see a comfortable retirement are nevertheless at their lowest since 2013. People are increasingly fretful about the future. People are increasingly concerned they're not going to have enough for retirement. They're worried about China. They're worried about war. They're worried about terrorism. They're worried about domestic violence. The country itself, people feel like we're headed towards crossing some sort of Rubicon. Side note. In the last 48 hours, the Democratic rhetoric about Donald Trump and the second attempted assassination is that he's got it coming. It's his words. It's his rhetoric. It's him. He's doing it to himself. It's not us. It's not our saying we're at the verge of a third Reich. Nope, don't blame us for that. It's not us saying he's a threat to democracy. Nope, he is a threat to democracy. This is all on him. The Democrats, the left, the media itself trying to avoid any culpability, putting it all on Donald Trump. His skirt is so short, he deserved to be raped. That's the logic you do understand, those of you on the left. What you're saying is that Donald Trump's skirt is so short, he had it coming. But occasionally I have to do this. Occasionally I have to do this. And I need to remind you all, including those of you who have resorted more and more to sending me hate mail because I'm not telling you what you want to hear. Everything's going to be okay. It may not feel like it, but everything's going to be okay. The world has lost its mind. Many people around you have lost their mind. Sometimes you feel like you're losing your mind. You're worried about the future. You're worried about making ends meet. You're worried about your money. You're worried about your mortgage. You're worried about your credit card bill. You're worried about your car payment. You're worried about your retirement. You're worried about your kids. You're worried about your kids' jobs. You're worried about your kids' future. You're worried, are you even going to have grandkids one day? All things work for the good of those called according to his purpose. Everything's going to be okay. You may not get the outcome you desire in the election. You may not get the pay raise you want. You may struggle. But the world is not going to come to an end. In 4 years, Democrats, if Donald Trump gets elected, there's going to be another election. There's not going to be an autocracy. There's not going to be a tyranny. There's not going to be a dictatorship. Republicans, if Kamala Harris gets elected in 4 years, you'll have an opportunity to find a better candidate to beat her. Some of you would rather catastrophize your thinking and decide disaster awaits so that you can be pleasantly surprised when the outcome isn't as bad as you expect it to be. You'd rather be pleasantly surprised by the normal outcome than to actually realize that things aren't going to be as bad as you think, because you don't want to be disappointed. If your side loses, you're going to be disappointed. So you would rather presume that, well, the other side's going to steal it. So if it doesn't get stolen, you're delighted. And if they do win, you can say, well, they stole it. It's not actually on me, and I didn't pick a bad candidate. It's me. People want to catastrophize their thinking, but everything's going to be fine. That doesn't mean that you're going to win the lottery. It doesn't mean that you're going to be sufficiently stockpiled in retirement that you're going to be filthy rich. Things may not go the way you want, but overall things are going to be fine. The sun's going to come up tomorrow. There is going to be a future. There is going to be a tomorrow. It may not be the one you want. Life is not fair. Life is not fair for your opponents. Life is not fair for you. Life is hard. But everything's going to be fine. Here's why I know everything's going to be fine. Because I don't expect God to get off his throne. I don't expect that tomorrow God's going to say, I quit. And if he's there, everything's going to be fine. I worry for the people who don't believe, because you're the ones who are most likely to be stressed out. So I follow a guy, I read his website. He's an atheist. He thinks that people who believe in religion are the biggest fools. You know, what I find so funny is that there's an argument to be made for the atheists out there who believe in evolution, that maybe religion is an evolutionary tick, that maybe a religion derived from evolution because the people who actually are believers live longer, have happier lives, have lower suicide rates, have healthier marriages. This guy is constantly depressed, divorced, lives a miserable life, worried about the future constantly. I see people like that, and I think, man, the idea that I must be in charge of everything in my destiny, that would overwhelm me. I would live my life in terror and be miserable like this guy, struggling with depression and unhappy in my life. I know that tomorrow everything's going to be okay, even if it doesn't go my way, because I know that the good Lord in heaven is not going to send in his retirement papers and say, I quit. I'm leaving this all undone. I trust in the sovereignty of God. And so in these wild, crazy times where you're prone to catastrophizing, where you're prone to conspiracy theory, where you're worried about your retirement and the retirement of your kids, whether or not you're going to have grandkids and your mortgage payment, all I can tell you is it's all going to work out in the end. It's all going to work out in the end. In other words, to put more bluntly and briefly and succinctly, calm down.
When the world seems crazy, he'll keep you sane. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
221 in the Coolray Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. We're right now running into delays trying to get into Lithia Springs because of a crash. I-20 westbound past Thornton Road, exit 44. It knocks out the right lane. This report brought to you by Disney's The Lion King at the Fox Theater. Disney's The Lion King makes his triumphant return to the Fox Theater October 2nd through the 20th. Get tickets at BroadwayInAtlanta.com. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
It's the WSB 5K a day bonus blitz. This hour's keyword is drive. Go to the WSB Radio app or WSBRadio.com/cash for your chance to win. Again, that keyword is drive. Join me live at 3 for the Von Haessler Doctrine, and I'll have your next keyword and chance to win at 5.
Did you know that eating healthier and more delicious food is not only good for you, but affordable as well? Hi, it's Sue from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. At the Bread Beckers store in Woodstock, we can teach you how to make real, delicious bread loaded with fiber and nutrients from real whole grains. A healthy, delicious, and affordable solution for your family. Eating real bread will satisfy your hunger and greatly reduce the amount of food you need to eat. Plus, your improved health from eating real bread may even reduce the need for frequent doctor visits. That's what Real Bread did for our family. 2 doctor visits with 9 kids in 25 years. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've studied the incredible health benefits of whole grains and real bread. So if you're struggling with bowel issues, high cholesterol, weight gain, warts, or kids who seem to be constantly sick, take the first steps to a healthier, more affordable life. Visit onlyrealbread.com. The Bread Beckers, onlyrealbread.com.
Hey, it's Eric Erickson. I'm here with my friend Dr. Brian Hill, owner and founder of Hip Nation. Tell me a recent experience about a company where you saw real employee savings.
We had an electricians company that decided to look into Hip Nation. Heard us on the radio, actually heard your voice, Eric. They reached out. We ran their plan. They compared to our solution at Hip Nation. For their 25 employees, they saved $114,000 in year 1. And that's just the first year. That $114,000 is going to roll over year after year.
Brian, if I'm a small business owner looking at saving money and I'm looking at Hip Nation, what would you tell me is the compelling reason to check out Hip Nation?
Our goal is to help an employer save a a significant amount of money and to make sure that their employees get great access to great health care. We see businesses as small as 5 employees saving as much as $50,000 by switching to us. We had a flooring company that just recently switched and put $50,000 back into their bottom line.
Go to hipnation.com to get a healthcare quote for your business today. The call's free. The savings are life-changing. That's hipnation.com.
Dave Baker here for Air Quality Systems. If you haven't had your heating and air ducts cleaned in the last 5 years, you need Air Quality Systems. They'll come to your house and clean all that gunk out of your ductwork. That's all they do. They won't wash your siding. They won't clean your carpet. They'll just professionally clean your ducts to the same standards using the same process that they use to clean at UGA, at Children's Healthcare, and at other major hospitals in the metro area. You'll get upfront, all-in pricing over the phone, and your ducts will be cleaned. Simply go to airqualitysystems.com and breathe easy.
For nearly 50 years, Shane Company has been Atlanta's most trusted family jeweler. Our engagement rings are the perfect blend of design, function, and beauty, each one a unique work of art. We meticulously craft our bridal jewelry in our jeweler's workshop to the highest standards, expertly setting each diamond by hand, ensuring the structure is perfectly balanced, and sizing everything for the perfect fit. Shane Company offers a free unmatched lifetime warranty because your engagement ring is an heirloom that was made to last. Atlanta, we invite you to come see for yourself. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
It's Eric. I don't know about y'all, but life happens in our kitchen. It's where we have our memories, our family time, our laughs. Well, you don't want a lot of downtime, but you may want to renovate your kitchen. You want one of those $1 million kitchen looks and get it at the fraction of the cost with Frugal Kitchens. They know that you've got plans for your kitchen, and they want to help you. And here's why I love them. They can have you cooking in 5 days from the start of construction and get you 18 months no interest financing. FrugalKitchens.com. That's where you want to check them out. FrugalKitchens.com.
Motorcycle riders like you are a different breed. You don't just ride your bike, you're obsessed. So if someone causes you to lay your bike down, you need a different kind of attorney, one that understands bikers and their rights. Eric Von Hessler here for my friends at Steel Horse Law, the Stein and Karen Law Group, motorcycle injury lawyers who ride. You can trust them on the road and in the courtroom. Steel Horse Law can help you get back on your feet, medical bills paid, and your case resolved. Trust is everything, and results matter. Free case evaluation at steelhorselaw.com.
All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB.
Want Eric's weekly recipes? They're super delicious. Text recipe to 33777 now.
Breaking news. Turns out Israel did not inform the Biden administration that it was going to explode pagers across Lebanon. Why would they? Why would they? They shouldn't. Good for them for not. Someone in the Biden administration would have told Hezbollah and told Iran. Undoubtedly so. Side note, on the Israeli pager incident, I am not a catastrophizer. I tend not to be. Hey, I'm already getting the, well, what if terrorists do this to Apple's phones? What if all the iPhones blow up? I don't think terrorists have the capability of doing this, but I do think China does. This is just another reason why I think we as a nation continue to have to be very careful about doing business with the Chinese. I know enough about the way iPhones are made and the security chip involved and stuff. I'm not worried about my iPhone blowing up tomorrow. I'm not going to stop using my iPhone. If you want to give up your iPhone and go to a pager or something, you help yourself. But I do worry greatly about the Chinese and the routers from China that we install. This is why the U.S. government has worked so hard to get Huawei out of everything, because they believe there's malware involved. And I do think that this is another example of a national security vulnerability of the United States with our too much integration in China. I do note, I don't have the report in front of me, but I think it was from the Wall Street Journal or Bloomberg the other day, that the number of companies that are moving out of China, their supply lines out of China, this is another reason for them to get out of China. In fact, I believe I read that this year Apple's going to produce more iPhones outside of China than inside China for the very first time. There are clear vulnerabilities, and that Israel was able to generate this attack of over 3,000 pagers blowing up in Lebanon through their malware designed to trigger the battery explosions is just another example of why we as a nation should be very concerned about what China might be doing and should be very cautious about China. Now, I want to talk to you about Hillsdale College for a minute. I sent a note to Dr. Larry Arnn because I've never met him, but I personally appreciate being able to tell you about Hillsdale College because I've been a long time Imprimis subscriber since I was in law school, and I've never paid a penny for it. I've never paid a penny for Imprimis. I've never paid a penny for any of the great work I've gotten from Hillsdale College. It's one of the reasons I like to donate to Hillsdale, because they provide so much great content for free, including their podcast network that you can get in your favorite podcast app. All you do is go to ericforhillsdale.com, E-R-I-C-K, ericforhillsdale.com. You can get Imprimis, you can get the podcast network, you can get so many of the great courses Hillsdale makes available for free. It's part of their mission to educate. They don't indoctrinate, they educate. And it's quality education. It's great resource for your mind. It's show prep for your mind. ericforhillsdale.com. Go check them out today.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and
At
Talk.
2:30, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top story. Rapper Sean Combs indicted on federal sex trafficking and racketeering charges. U.S. Attorney Damian Williams alleges Combs forced women and commercial male prostitutes to participate in drug-induced sexual performances called freak-offs.
As alleged, when Combs didn't get his way, he was violent, and he subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse so that they would participate in the freak-offs.
Today's indictment comes 6 months after federal investigators searched his homes, taking evidence including phones and weapons. Combs' attorney says he will plead not guilty and would fight to have his client released from custody. A big deal for college athletes in Georgia. Governor Kemp today signing an executive order allowing state schools to directly pay players through name, image, and likeness. The order comes as the NCAA is in the midst of a legal battle with several conferences over the issue of paying players. The governor says his order will help student athletes in Georgia compete on a level playing field with athletes in other states. Gwinnett police arrest a suspect accused of attempting to steal cash from an ATM. Sergeant Colin Flynn says 19-year-old Abraham Brownell got away with nothing for his troubles.
It is very difficult to actually get money out of an ATM. So in this case, he did do a lot of damage to the machine. However, he was not able to get money, and that is because of those safety protocols.
Police say he tried to break into a Synovus Bank ATM in Decula and now faces charges of burglary, entering an auto, and criminal damage to property. Democratic vice presidential candidate Tim Walz visits Georgia today after stopping in Macon. Walz is now in Atlanta. It's part of a new effort aimed at turning out younger voters. It's his first solo trip to Georgia. Walz and Vice President Harris made a bus tour through South Georgia in August. It is 2:32.
You need new air conditioning, or maybe you're like me and need your system maintained, but options and pricing can be confusing. Hey, it's Jared Yamamoto from the Von Hessler Doctrine. We've lived in our new home on the west side for about a year and needed a reputable company that we could trust with our HVAC and plumbing needs. I did my research, read many of their 5,000 5-star reviews. Easy decision, Guardian Home Experts. The most affordable options, highest quality work, and impeccable customer service from a local, family-owned company. Get a new system with Guardian and Daikin and get a $1,450 instant rebate and 0% interest for up to 60 months. That's as low as $99 a month to own, not lease. Plus, Guardian offers a meet or beat price match guarantee up to $500. Details online. I know you'll become a Guardian customer just like me, and here's my favorite part.
Call 470 experts. Guardian Home Experts.
Do you think you need to renovate your kitchen, but you're worried about the costs? Well, Frugal Kitchens can help you get $1 million looking kitchen for a fraction of the cost and 18 months no interest financing available. The best part, they can get you back up and cooking in 5 days from the start of construction. Life happens in your kitchen. That's where you build so many memories. If you're like Christy and me, that's why we use Frugal Kitchens, and you can too.
FrugalKitchens.com is the website. Go check them out. Don't forget 18 months, no interest financing available. FrugalKitchens.com.
You enjoy doing DIY projects around your home, like painting the walls. But how do you fix sagging floors, and why are they sagging to begin with? Dave Baker here for AquaGuard Foundation Solutions. You know, fixing the why is more important than fixing the what. AquaGuard certified field inspectors will come out and explain what's happening to your floors and help you with a solution that fits your budget. Visit aquaguard.net for your free inspection now. AquaGuard Foundation Solutions. There's a reason they're the trusted local experts. Just remember, AquaGuard.
At Ameris Bank, we're invested in the success of your business. Our local bankers are ready to help you improve your cash flow, optimize your operating accounts, and access financing when you need it. From treasury services and digital banking to loans and lines of credit, we offer tailored solutions to help your business thrive. At Ameris Bank, we're with you. Visit amerisbank.com/withyourbusiness or walk into one of our branches today to get started. Ameris Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
At 2:34, Veronica Harrell is in the traffic center.
And talking about big jams on that West Freeway, it's because of a crash in the right lane. I-20 westbound just past Thornton Road, exit 44. Again, it's in the right lane, but your delays stretch back to around Fulton Industrial Boulevard. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Mostly cloudy today. A few isolated rain showers possible on the northeast side of the metro. Today's high is 82.
Right now, 72 in Lawrenceville, 79 in Hampton, 78 in Villa Rica. More news at 3 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
He's got the courage to tell you the truth, even when it isn't popular. You're listening to The Eric Erickson Show.
Welcome back. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States. The phone number is 877-973-7425. There's a little bit of breaking news I got to bring to you right now. The Secret Service and Donald Trump have met today. Donald Trump, this is from the New York Times, asked the acting director, Mr. Rowe, whether it was safe for him to keep playing golf. Mr. Rowe discussed the difficulties of securing sprawling golf courses near public roads and said that some of Mr. Trump's courses were easier to protect than others. It is unclear what changes Mr. Trump will make to his golf schedule after the meeting, and some people in Mr. Trump's orbit are frustrated at any notion he might have to cut back on his weekly activity. They question why President Biden was able to visit open beaches, but Mr. Trump should have to restrict his golf, especially given that other former presidents regularly play the sport. However, Mr. Trump and Mr. Biden do not receive the same level of security. One of them is a sitting president, one is a former president. Mr. Trump's level of Secret Service protection reduced after he left the White House. Both Republican and Democratic lawmakers have raised concerns about the former president's protection, given the current intensity of threats. Mr. Biden has called on the Secret Service to provide whatever additional resources are needed to keep Mr. Trump safe. Golf remains more than a pastime for Mr. Trump. It's a major part of his identity, as well as a way of socializing and a release valve as he faces a presidential campaign and ongoing legal woes. Listen, I think if Donald Trump wants to go play golf, the Secret Service should deploy whatever resources it needs so he can play golf. And yes, this is a position I would take regardless of his partisanship or political affiliations, just as I think that the President of the United States should be able to go sit safely on the beach if it's good for his brain. I am a terrible golfer, as you all know. While I've gotten better, I'm not a good golfer. But I have to tell you, I enjoy immensely being on a golf course. I would very much like to go this afternoon and just might do so. The reason I like to play is because I'm outside in the sun. I'm not much of an outdoor person, but I just enjoy being on the golf course. And I, in particular, like to play golf by myself. I do not keep score. In fact, I was playing with some guys the other day, and they were asking me about keeping score. So I don't keep score. I actually have a system. I've got this little device. It's called an Arcos, and it's on my. Each of my clubs have one, and it can track with GPS and other stuff how I'm hitting, how I'm playing, how far I've hit the ball, location on the golf course, and all that stuff. And I can keep up with the metrics, and I can tell I'm improving. The more I play, the better I get. I've taken lessons. If you're in the Southeast and you want a great golf instructor, then my golf instructor's name's Kyle Morris. He's at the Cartersville Country Club, and he is brilliant. And I can tell you, as someone who's taken lessons at Sea Island and at Sea Pines and at Kiowa and other places, he's the best golf instructor I've ever had. And I've gotten better working with him. And I like to play it. It is a frustrating game. And you should know Donald Trump is actually a really good golfer. If you don't believe me, watch the video with him and Bryson DeChambeau as they're playing. Bryson's got a massive following on YouTube, and Donald Trump is a genuinely good golfer. And there are a lot of people who are convinced he's like one of those third world dictators who no one's allowed to beat. No, Donald Trump actually is a good golfer, and to the extent that you're unwilling to believe it, you're broken by partisanship. It's also good for him to be outside and playing golf. And I have heard stories of people at a Trump golf course, for example. In fact, I don't know the guys. It is a friend of a friend sort of story, so maybe it's not true, but I kind of believe it is because it's similar to so many stories I hear about Trump that they were at Doral, the golf course down in Florida, playing, and that somebody hit a ball onto the green. They were on the green. Somebody hit a ball onto the green. And Donald Trump pulls up in his golf cart, literally onto the green, says, "Sorry, boys, I'm playing through," have the Secret Service in tow. And they play. It's his golf course, and he's got the Secret Service with him. They're not going to stop him. But, yeah, I've heard very similar stories from people who play golf with Donald Trump, that if you're in front of him moving slow, he hits into you and goes past you, and he's good enough not to hit you. And let him play golf. Let him play golf. And if that means the Secret Service needs more agents to expand around the perimeter, it's going to be difficult for everybody else who wants to play golf at those courses, but so. The presidents of the United States get the luxury of playing in secure facilities and military installations that keep good golf courses for the commander-in-chief. Donald Trump, he's got to play his own courses. Let him play. Now, all that being said, is it not wild that this is actually a tied race? When I say this, I inevitably get people upset with me for saying it's a tied race, and they say, how? Everyone I know is voting for Donald Trump. It can't be a tied race. And every time that happens to me, I remind them about Pauline Kael, who was a critic for the New York Times, who was shocked, I tell you, that Richard Nixon won re-election because everyone she knew was voting for his opponent. It is a sign of a bubble when you are convinced of something that the data shows is not true. You live in a bubble. Maybe the data is wrong, but why am I to trust your anecdote over the data? What the data shows is that this is a very tied race. And one of the reasons it's a very tied race is because we have one candidate who is very, very polarizing, and one candidate who is actually relatively unknown. And the benefit of having a candidate who is a major party candidate who is unknown is that stupid people can pour their hopes and dreams into that person. And yeah, I'm going to say stupid people. This is the Barack Obama effect in 2008. In 2008, people really didn't know where Barack Obama stood on issues. They just knew he wasn't John McCain. And John McCain was a well-known figure, very polarizing figure. The media, he was adored by the media until he ran against a black man. And then he became a racist. But Barack Obama, everybody could pour their hopes and dreams into Barack Obama. You didn't have to know Barack Obama. You just had to know his heart. Kamala Harris is in the same boat. She's relatively unknown. It is wild to me. Donald Trump has, there have been more attempts on Donald Trump's life than Kamala Harris has given job interviews in the press, and she's run for president. But nonetheless, she's an unknown figure. The race is tight. And then there's the persnickety bit of the undecided voter. Harry Inton has run the polling. I want to play you some of this from his interview on CNN.
That 4% in the average of polls, 4% of voters say that they are undecided.
Let me see if I can boost this volume real quick for everybody here. Hang on one second. Sorry about that. That's my fault. Let's see.
That 4%.
Nah.
4% in the average of polls, 4% of voters say that they are undecided. That is just half the level that we saw in 2020, well less than the 10% we saw at this point in 2016. So the bottom line is, in this particular election, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are focusing their attention on this tiny, tiny sliver, much lower than we're used to. In fact, it's the lowest level of undecideds that we've seen in polling at this point this entire 21st century.
You know what? That is not surprising at all, that number is so low. But within the margin of error, all the polls that you've been looking at, that number is extremely significant.
Exactly. It can make all the difference in the world.
Right? So what do these undecideds care about? What are their big issues?
What are their top issues? Well, perhaps not surprisingly, 30% say the economy, inflation. That's number one. But number two, they actually don't have a top issue. 28% say there is no top issue, which perhaps isn't so surprising given that they're probably not as tuned into politics. They might care more about the characteristics of the candidates themselves rather than the issues that they represent. But I think that you get this large chunk of undecideds, right, or the large chunk within the undecideds who say there's no top issue. That, of course, makes it difficult for the campaigns to go after them because what exactly are you going to talk about to the folks who say, wait a minute, we don't have a top issue?
Right.
Okay. Let me just tell you my view of this. If you are an undecided voter and you don't even have a top issue, you are an idiot. And here's why neither side should go after those people. Because the odds are those people don't even know what day we vote in this country, and they're not going to vote. They got called by a pollster randomly. And by the way, I get this, and I always get this about this time of year from people. It's always after Labor Day. I always get this, well, how can the polls be real? I myself have never gotten called by a pollster, therefore the polls cannot be real. Now, again, we can go into whether or not the polling is legitimate or not, whether it's right or not, how we should look at the averages, not the individual polls. But the idea that because you haven't gotten a poll, no poll can be legitimate. You know, they poll about 1,000. In a country of 350 million people, they poll about 1,000 people. How can that be right? I'm not a statistician. Ask a statistician. But even when Ronald Reagan was president and polling was highly accurate, they were polling about 1,000 people in a country at the time of about 200 million people. And just because you didn't get a call then didn't mean the polling was wrong. The polling was pretty good back then. You just didn't get polled. You don't get polled for a whole lot of reasons. One, you may not be in the database. Two, you may not have a landline. And three, you may not answer the call when they call, and you don't know it's the pollster calling, so you don't answer the phone. They call and call and call and call and call and call and call until they get the number of people they need for their poll. The level of self-centeredness in the I haven't gotten polled, therefore they can't be real. Nonetheless, I digress. Whether you believe them or not, 4% of people, this election is very polarized. And this is why, for the first time, Republicans and Democrats are about at parity with each other. It used to be Democrats, actually, there were more Democrats than Republicans. There are more progressives than there are conservatives, but Democrats versus Republicans is about tied now. Why? Because Hispanic voters and black men are more and more likely to say, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump. So they get classified in the polling, and they're Republicans now. And they're tied. But the undecided voter at this point in this election cycle is someone who is undecided and tells the pollster they're undecided, and that doesn't mean they're going to vote. They might not vote. And that's one reason I think what you're seeing, despite what Harry Hinton is talking about there on CNN, I think more and more the Democrats and Republicans are going to turn this election into a rally of the base moment. They're not going to go out and try to find the undecided voter. They're going to go try to find their voter and turn their voter out. And if you're Donald Trump and the Republicans, particularly what you're going to do is you're going to go try to find the people who say they like Donald Trump, but they don't regularly vote. The less likely voter, but who is decided. Again, if you're an undecided voter in this country at this point, the odds of you showing up on Election Day are pretty slim. As you get closer to Election Day, it is less and less likely the undecided voters are going to show up. The fact that there are only 4% of them in a tied race, that's one reason the media think, oh, obviously, they're going to go try to find this pool of undecided voters and get them to decide. But what do you think is a more efficient way to spend your money? trying to find an undecided voter and then find a way to persuade them to vote, or to find your voter and get your voter to go vote? In my mind, as someone who's actually run campaigns for a living quite successfully, you are better able to go find people who say, I like Donald Trump, and get them to turn out than you are to go find someone who says, I don't know who the candidates are for president. Is this the year Ronald Reagan's running? No. You're an idiot. I don't want you to turn out. You're bad for the electoral gene pool. Please stay home. You know the date for the election? The election is December 18th. You're going to go vote on December 18th. That's when you idiot, show up and vote. And by the way, that actually is the election day. That's the Electoral College Day. I think it's December 18th. Somewhere that week, December 17th, 18th, or 19th. You're not lying when you tell them the election for president is that day. And these idiots, if they're that undecided and they don't even know who's running for office, I mean, that's it. Listen, now this is not to bemoan newer voters. I have some friends who've never voted before. And after the first Trump assassination attempt, they decided, I got to go vote. I got to go vote for this guy. They clearly want to stop him. I got to go vote for him. And they figured out how to get registered to vote. And they're going to go vote for him. But I do know some people who are so not in tune with politics. And I realize if you're listening to this program, you probably can't even wrap your mind around it. But there actually are people in this country right now, a very small percentage, but they exist. They don't even know who's running for president. They don't care. And they believe that it doesn't matter, Democrat or Republican, they're all the same. Nothing's going to change. And in that regard, they're actually kind of right, more than you and me, because, I mean, some things do change, but very rarely does a whole lot change based on the presidential election. But they are not engaged at all, and they're not going to go vote. It is far better for a presidential candidate to focus on turning out their base at this point than to try to find a small pool of undecided voters who don't even know who's running for office. But you know, one of the groups that does go try to find those undecided voters and find out why they're undecided and how to persuade them is Americans for Prosperity. They actually train door knockers to go knock on doors of voters who say they're undecided and try to figure out, why are you undecided? Do you actually have an ideological lean? If not, how can I persuade you to become on my side? One of the great things they do, they're a do tank, not a think tank. They go out into the country. They do the business of the conservative movement. They are americansforprosperity.org/volunteer. You can go sign up with them. They've got chapters all over the country. americansforprosperity.org/volunteer. Americans for Prosperity, they give you the policy information, they give you the white papers, they give you the depth of knowledge to be the most informed member of your circle of friends, to go to your local government or state government to advocate for common sense conservatism, and to go knock on your neighbor's door and convert them to the cause. americansforprosperity.org/volunteer.
He'll do the research and give it to you straight. Eric Erickson is live every weekday.
251 in the Coolray Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. Crash remains over in the right lane. I-20 westbound just past Thornton Road, exit 44, causing tough delays trying to get over into Lithia Springs. Your delays stretch back to Fulton Industrial Boulevard. Elsewhere, a crash just moved off to the right. 85 southbound before 17th Street, exit 84. But delays remain trying to get into the Midtown area. And also now checking on a slow zone, possibly 85 northbound up around Jimmy Carter Boulevard, exit 99. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
On air,
Online,
on the app,
where you get your news,
is where you'll win.
Download the WSB radio app now and maybe win $1,000.
Thank you, Jesus.
The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz.
5 words, 5 times a day, every weekday.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Just enter the word at WSBradio.com or on the WSB radio app.
Your next chance to win is coming up at 5.
The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz
On 95.5 WSB.
How would you like some new windows for your home? Yeah, you. Guess what? Today is buy one, get one. And we'll throw in a brand new top-of-the-line gutter system. And guess what? If you call right now, it's half price. But you have to call right now or the deal goes away. Hi, this is Candace with Exovations, and have I got a tip for you. Don't fall for it. It's exhausting trying to keep up with all the fake specials being offered. And we all say the same thing. We're all licensed, we're all insured, we all have 5-star reviews. At Exovations, We want to earn your business the right way. But don't take our word for it. Let us show you why we say we are different from other contractors. To find out what it means to have an on-time, on-budget, and stress-free renovation, call me today at 770-205-2995 or online at exovations.com. That's exovations.com.
Y'all, it's Eric. Listen, owning a business is challenging. I know, particularly with economic turmoil, every dollar matters. Every wasted minute is wasted money. You want your team as proficient and sharp as ever. That's why I use Vision Computers, and you should too. At Vision Computers, they do managed service for $179 per computer per year. One of the smartest investments you can make to keep your team and your company running smoothly. Call them at 404-COMPUTER. Go to visioncomputers.com. Picture this. No more downtime, no more tech frustrations. No more wondering if your systems are secure. Vision Computers takes care of everything with fast, reliable tech support from professionals ready to help, typically in less than 15 seconds. They've got over 4,000 Google 5-star reviews. They know what they're doing. And when you buy a PC from Vision, you're not just getting a computer, you're getting a system tailored to your exact needs. Give them a call, 404-COMPUTE, or go to visioncomputers.com. Vision Computers can build you what you need, but even if you didn't buy from them, they can be your tech support solution. 404-COMPUTE.
WSB Atlanta, WSB BFM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to health care. And that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. That's because MediShare works. It has for more than 30 years. It's a community of Christians who have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Just call 877-26-BIBLE. That's 877-26-BIBLE, 877-26-BIBLE.
Want Eric's weekly recipes? They're super delicious. Text recipe to 33777 now.
So, you want to know your wild data point of the day here with all the election stuff? And notice how I've waited until the end to really talk about the election, because I just think that there's so much other stuff going on there. It can serve as a distraction from all those stuff. And in light of the pagers blowing up in Lebanon today, that's really the big story. But the Real Clear Politics polling average, Kamala Harris was up 1.2% nationally and was up 0.7% in the polling averages yesterday. Today, Kamala Harris is now up 2 percentage points nationwide. She's gone from 1.2% to 2%. But in the battlegrounds, in the Electoral College, she's gone from up 0.7% to up 0.1%. And the reason is because the polling out of Arizona continues to have Donald Trump up 1.3%. Now, that's problematic for Donald Trump, though, in Arizona, because of the ground game in Arizona. The Democrats have a better ground game than the GOP. The Republicans are allowing a third-party group run by Charlie Kirk to mobilize voters in Arizona. And so they don't actually have control over their own ground game, whereas the Harris campaign has day-to-day metrics of how many doors are being knocked on and things like that. But in the actual polling averages, you've got Trump up ahead in Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Arizona. You've got Kamala Harris up in Nevada, Wisconsin, and Michigan. If the election were held today, based on that, Donald Trump would be president of the United States because he would win the Electoral College. With Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Arizona in his pocket, he would win the Electoral College and be president of the United States. And that goes to the point that Harry Itten was making yesterday. I played that audio. If Kamala Harris is 2% or less in the national public opinion polling averages, she has a 23% chance of becoming president. If she gets between 2 and 3% of the polling, she has a 50-50 shot at becoming president. If she gets over 3% in the polling, she has an 80% chance of being president. Why? because the way statistical sampling works in national polling averages, California, New York, those big blue states with a lot of population, they get weighed into the polling. If she's less than 2%, though, the electoral college states have disproportionate weight in the polls. If she's over 3% in the polling, particularly if she's at 4% of the polling, then suddenly those electoral college states are neutralized statistically. She is in a dangerous window for the Democrats right now in the polling that suggests that she is going to lose the election to Donald Trump today. Even Democrats behind the scenes agree with this assessment, with Harris's own pollsters privately telling Democrats they're worried. Yes, they're worried.
WSB consumer expert Clark Howard.
One thing that we've had so many complaints about is if you've paid off your cell phone and then you can't get the cell phone unlocked, meaning that then this is different than the SIM. This is where you can take your cell phone service and that phone you've already bought and paid for and go to any other provider. There are so many complaints that people have filed with the Federal Communications Commission that the FCC voted unanimously